Chapter 3307. Sister, why did they bring us back to the immortal realm? If they wanted to kill us, why didn't they do it back then? Xing Yulei secretly transmitted his voice. Although all of them were shackled by the restrictive chains, preventing them from using most of their cultivation bases, transmitting their voices wasn't a problem. The only thing they had to consider was whether the terrifying demon overlords who were leading the group would listen to their voice transmissions on a whim. Perhaps they need us to carry out a sacrificial ritual. There are many such cruel cultivation techniques in the demon race. Xing Yue looked at the few demon emperors with a pale face, and her lips moved slightly. What? Are they planning to use us as a blood sacrifice? Those damn demon race, how can they be so cruel? Xing Yulei was furious. Xing Yue coldly sneered. She glanced at several figures that were also locked up not too far away. Those are also demonic path cultivators. Perhaps they have done things even more cruel than this. You must remember, this is a world where the strong prey on the weak. Xing Yulei was taken aback and then nodded with an ugly expression. He had to admit that Xing Yue was right. Not to mention the brutality of these demons, even immortals wouldn't fare any better in the face of an existence with a lower cultivation base than them. They would kill at the drop of a hat. It's a pity that Senior Beixian is not a match for the demon race. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in such a miserable state. We escaped to the ghost realm and were captured by the demon race, Xing Yulei said bitterly. Fortunately, Father predicted this and let us escape separately. The Taichu Chamber of Commerce should be scattered across the ghost realms. It's impossible for the demon race to catch us all in one fell swoop. Xing Yue rejoiced. Ah! No matter where your people hide, we will dig them out and wipe all of you off the face of the earth. We will make sure that immortals no longer exist in this world. Only by doing so can we wash away the humiliation we suffered in the past. A demon emperor suddenly turned to look at Xing Yue and let out a loud laugh. His eyes were filled with mockery. Xing Yue was slightly startled. Then, her expression turned ugly. She knew that the Devil Emperor had sensed her message with Xing Yulei. All the immortals were startled by the sudden turn of events. They looked at the Demon Emperor with lingering fear and couldn't help but feel terrified. I'm tired from walking. Let's stop here and rest for a while. It's been a long time since I've tasted an immortal beauty. This little girl is quite pleasing to my eyes, so I'll take her. The Demon Emperor communicated with the other Demon Emperors before revealing a sinister smile and walking towards Xing Yue. Xing Yue had a look of despair on her face. Just a few days ago, something like this happened. A female immortal was tortured to death by this Demon Emperor in front of countless immortals. Was it her turn now? Don't mess around, don't touch my sister. Xing Yulei was filled with regret. If it wasn't for his voice transmission, perhaps this wouldn't have happened. He was like an enraged lion as he roared at that Devil Emperor. You demons are really despicable and shameless. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Why must you humiliate me? An immortal with a head full of white hair suddenly scolded. On his back was a gourd. The fragrance of wine wafted from the gourd. All the immortals knew that this person was the famous immortal Lord 3Chi, but the immortal realm had changed too quickly. The strength of an immortal lord was no threat to the demons. The demons had sent out to hunt down the immortals. The weakest of them was at the primordial unity level, and there were countless demon emperors. Before the invasion of the demonic race and the chaos in the world of the celestial realm, the demon emperors who had captured them would have been peerless existences. Old thing, you're about to die. How dare you make a sound? The demon emperor's gaze fell on immortal Lord 3Chi. He seemed to be planning on not attacking Xing Yue for the time being. Instead, he walked towards immortal Lord 3Chi. Immortal Lord 3Chi. Xing Yue's eyes were bloodshot, and tears were already rolling down her cheeks. Immortal Lord 3Chi and Immortal Lord Riding Dragon were good friends, and Taichu Chamber of Commerce had been founded by Immortal Lord Riding Dragon. Seeing that immortal Lord 3 Chi was willing to offend this demon emperor for her sake, Xing Yue felt even more despair. The demon emperor had many ways of torturing others. He continued to torture immortal Lord 3 Chi in front of everyone. Immortal Lord 3 Chi's white hair draped over his shoulders. He endured the pain and didn't make a sound. However, it didn't take long for his body to be riddled with wounds and his aura to become extremely weak. The other demon emperors stood in the void with faint smiles on their faces, admiring the scene. "You're very stubborn. Let's see if you'll still be so stubborn after I cook you alive." The demon emperor suddenly laughed. He waved his hand, and a pill cauldron appeared in front of everyone. Clear water had already been prepared in the pill cauldron, and it soon boiled under the demonic flames. He then acted as if he was going to throw immortal Lord 3 Chi inside. "They're going to cook immortal Lord 3 Chi alive." All the immortals paled. "You can try." Immortal Lord 3 Chi suddenly laughed. Although his voice was low, there was a hint of determination in it. "All right. You immortals have a saying that goes, lust comes after a full meal. I'll fill my stomach first, then take care of that little girl." The demon emperor chuckled. Just as he was about to throw immortal Lord 3 Chi into the pill cauldron, a figure stepped through the air and appeared before everyone in less than half a breath's time. Amitabha. Dipankara Buddha put his palms together and chanted. As if sensing that Dipankara Buddha's aura was unusual, the demon emperors exchanged glances and formed a defensive circle, watching Dipankara Buddha warily. "Who are you?" "I am Dipankara." Dipankara Buddha smiled. Dipankara? Not only had the demon emperors not heard of this name, but even immortal Lord 3 Chi and the hundreds of thousands of immortals who were imprisoned had never heard of this name. "You're planning to save these immortals?" The demon emperor, who had wanted to cook immortal Lord 3 Chi alive, looked coldly at Dipankara Buddha. "I wonder if that's possible?" Dipankara Buddha smiled. "You'll have to ask our heaven-destroying demon lord. He asked us to capture these immortals, and you want to save them midway? I think you're only in the ancient transformation realm. It's not too late to leave now. Otherwise, the ancient transformation demon clan will come to suppress you. In that case, why don't you choose someone to send a letter to the heaven-destroying demon lord on my behalf?" Dipankara Buddha smiled. "Send a letter?" The demon emperors exchanged glances. "All right, I'll choose myself." Dipankara Buddha smiled, and a majestic temple suddenly appeared behind him. Immortal Palace? Chapter 3308. Besides that demon lord, everyone could see that the other demon lords were kneeling at the entrance of the temple. They seemed to have turned into statues and did not move at all. "We're saved." All the immortals looked at each other before their hearts burst with joy. They had thought that they would be brought to a designated location and tortured to death by the fiends, but they never expected that a monk would appear out of nowhere. He had the strength to easily suppress a fiend emperor and had rescued them from the abyss of despair. At this moment, more than half of the immortals had the thought of becoming monks and converting to Buddhism. "What message do you want to send?" "I will definitely deliver it for you." The demon emperor finally came to his senses and spoke in an extremely respectful tone. "Be it immortals or demons, those at the perfected Tao querying realm who had immortal palaces were worthy of everyone's respect. After all, in the vast devil race, other than the heaven-destroying devil lord, this kind of existence was already the top combat prowess. Even the later stage of the Tao querying realm could not be compared to the great attainment of the Tao querying realm, who had broken through the doors of the locked palace and seen the immortal palace. There was a huge difference between the two. Moreover, the most important thing was that besides the heaven-destroying Devil Master, who was a fourth-step existence, the strongest of the remaining Devil Masters was only at the late-stage Tao querying realm. There was no perfected Tao querying realm cultivator. The only perfected Tao querying realm cultivator was the heaven-destroying Devil Master. Very simple. Tell heaven-destroying demon lord to bring your demon race back to the demon world. Do not invade the immortal world for eternity." Dipankara Buddha smiled. Zhao Tong, Xing Yulei, and even immortal Lord 3 Chi were slightly shocked when they heard this. They looked at Dipankara Buddha strangely. Tell the demon race to scram back to the demon world? Was that possible? That demon monarch was stunned for a moment before he bitterly smiled. "Your Excellency, if it's this message, then the Heaven Demon Lord will definitely be furious. At that time, I'm afraid I won't be able to live." As he spoke, he looked at the temple behind Dipankara. Instead of being smashed to smithereens by heaven-destroying demon lord, kneeling in front of the temple might give him a chance to be reborn one day? "Of course, I won't send you to your death. Tell heaven-destroying demon lord that I have something he wants." Dipankara Buddha smiled. "Heart of the demon lord. Heart of the demon ancestor?" The demon emperor stared at the Dipankara ancient Buddha in a daze. After a full 3 breaths of time, he finally reacted and gasped in his heart. "No wonder we couldn't find any traces of the devil ancestor's heart all these years. So it's in his hands." At the beginning, the devil race had already received news of the devil ancestor's heart. These few years, the devil race had also been searching for the devil ancestor's heart. Firstly, it was to offer it to the heaven-destroying devil lord. Secondly, many of the devil race had their own plans. If they could find the devil ancestor's heart in a remote place, perhaps they could borrow it. If the power of Zhong reached a higher level, it might not be weaker than the heaven-destroying demon lord. "Is what you said true?" The demon monarch began to get excited. He had thought that he would be punished by demon lord heaven-destroying for having hundreds of thousands of celestials kidnapped, but if he brought back this news, not only would he not be punished. On the contrary, it was a meritorious deed. Perhaps a little reward from the heaven-defeating demon lord would allow him to break through to the ancient transformation realm and become a true higher-up of the devil race. "Of course it's true. Tell the heaven-destroying demon lord that as long as he's willing to give up on occupying the immortal world, the demon ancestor's heart will be given to him." Dipankara Buddha said lightly. "All right. I'll get off the horse and send the message." The demon monarch nodded, turned around, and left. He did not need to leave Dipankara Buddha's position, nor did he need to make any promises. He believed that as long as the heaven-destroying demon lord knew this news, he would definitely be able to find Dipankara Buddha. After the demon monarch left, immortal Lord 3 Chi came to Dipankara Buddha and bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Master, for saving our lives." "You're welcome. Actually, I came here today because Benefactor Beishian predicted that everyone would face a calamity." Dipankara Buddha smiled. Ning Chi, who was hidden in the void, twitched the corner of his mouth. He was very curious to see Zhao Tong, immortal Lord 3 Chi, Xing Yulei on such an occasion. Apart from the 4 of them, there were also some familiar existences among the hundreds of thousands of celestials. However, he should have only met them once. However, Ning Chi would not show himself now. He followed Dipankara Buddha all the way, waiting for the heaven-destroying demon lord to come to him. Benefactor Beishian? Everyone was slightly startled, then immediately realized who Dipankara was talking about. They could not help but sigh in their hearts. They did not expect Ning Chi to know such a powerful being. Zhao Tong even recalled the time when he first met Ning Chi, as well as what happened when he was brought to the Mystic Sword sect. He could not help but show a hint of self-deprecation in his eyes. At that time, because of his excellent aptitude, he was taken in as a personal disciple by Old Man Mysterious Sword. He immediately became arrogant, and then he encountered setbacks in front of Ning Chi again and again before finally coming to his senses. "Unfortunately, it's too late," Zhao Tong sighed inwardly. After leaving the Mystic Sword sect all these years, his cultivation had finally recovered to the worldly immortal realm, and he had even encountered many fortuitous encounters before finally becoming a celestial immortal. But he had already heard that Ning Qi's strength had long surpassed that of ancient immortal. If he had followed Ning Qi back then, perhaps he would have at least been a Tai true immortal by now? Come with me. Dipankara Buddha smiled. Next, Dipankara Buddha led everyone through many teleportation formations guarded by the demon race, and finally arrived at a planet that most celestials were very familiar with. Ancestral Star. Master Dipankara, have we returned to Ancestral Star? Zhao Tong could not help but ask. He was not sure if this planet was the ancestral star that he was familiar with. As soon as they appeared, countless demonic creatures rushed over from all directions. Most of the ground was already barren, and it was a world of difference from the original ancestral star. That's right, this is the ancestral star, the first planet that my ancient immortal clan settled on after coming out of the ancestral grounds. A trace of reminiscence appeared in Dipankara Buddha's eyes as he pointed in the direction of the mystic sword sect and said, "Back then, that was the heavenly court." After pausing for a moment, he pointed in the direction of the Feng Lin state. That was once the Western Heaven Spirit Mountain, and also the place where the Buddhas cultivated. This was the first time everyone had heard of such a secret of the ancient immortals. They were extremely shocked and immediately thought of some legends about the ancient immortal clan. Chapter 3309. That ancient heavenly court immortal domain, a trace of doubt appeared in someone's eyes. Later on, the ancient immortal clan also walked out of the ancestral star, which is why there is the current ancient heavenly court immortal domain. Ancient Buddha Dipankara smiled. Everyone came to a realization. This was definitely something that happened a long time ago. When these things happened, the timeline might have been 10,000 years ago. Master, where are we going next? Will the heaven-destroying demon lord agree to this deal? If he doesn't agree, I'm afraid he will personally come knocking on our door. 3 Qi immortal monarchs said with a serious expression. He will agree. Ancient Buddha Dipankara smiled, turned around and walked away. Seeing that, everyone hurriedly followed. Not long after, everyone arrived at the ruins of the Xianjian sect. This place was also filled with demons, and there were even some demons with strong cultivation. When they saw a large number of immortals appearing, their faces revealed shock, and before they could react, they all turned into golden light under the name of Ancient Buddha Dipankara. It dissipated between heaven and earth. Xianjian sect, a trace of sadness rose in Zhao Tong's heart. On his path of cultivation, the Xianjian sect occupied an extremely important part. Now that he had returned to the Xianjian sect, he realized that the Xianjian sect had changed beyond recognition. Many of the buildings had been pushed down by the demons, and it looked like a pile of ruins. In a floating devil hall in the depths of the universe, the heaven-destroying Devil Lord and the other Devil Lords quietly listened to the message from the Devil Emperor. Other than the heaven-destroying Devil Lord, the other Devil Lords all had looks of shock on their faces as they glanced at each other. Heart of the Demon Ancestor? Although they had always heard of it, they felt that the possibility of the heart of the Demon Ancestor existing in this world was almost zero. However, the news brought back by the Demon Emperor might prove that the heart of the Demon Ancestor truly existed in this world. Heaven-destroying Demon Lord, the heart of the Demon Ancestor is the source of the Demon Ancestor. Although the Demon Ancestor has been killed, if you can obtain the heart of the Demon Ancestor, your cultivation will definitely improve further. A demon master suddenly stood up and said, "As for the deal for us to return to the demon continent, there is no need to care about it. Just directly snatch the heart of the demon ancestor from that old monk." Why would the ancient immortal clan suddenly appear to trade? If I remember correctly, during the first great war of immortals and demons, Dipankara Buddha's cultivation was already at the Tao querying great perfection realm. Is it possible that he has broken through to the fourth step and is preparing to set up a trap to ambush the heaven-destroying demon lord? One of the demon masters, who still had a shred of rationality, said with a suspicious look in his eyes. Ambush me? Unless Jiang Tianshu and Divine Emperor Bei Xian came personally. However, if they were able to return from the Shunluo world, today's incident would not have happened. Perhaps the two of them would have died in the Shunluo world. Heaven-destroying demon master suddenly burst into laughter. I'll go there myself and see what they have up their sleeve. If it's really the demon ancestor's heart, I can use it to break through to the heavenly fate realm. At this realm, even if Jiang Tianshu and the North Mystic Celestial Emperor come, I can still kill them. Heaven-destroying demon lord is right. That demon master agreed awkwardly. However, he still felt that something was not right in his heart. It was just that Bai Tian demon master's emotions were extremely agitated right now, and if he raised any objections, he might just be suppressed by him with a flip of his hand. During this period of time, how many immortals have been captured to the demon hall? Heaven-destroying demon master suddenly laughed. The few demon masters looked at each other, and one of them said, excluding those who died in the past few days, there should be around 10 billion people left. 10 billion, although it's not a lot, but bring them all. If he wants to make a deal with me, I want to see if he's willing to sacrifice the lives of these immortals. Heaven-destroying demon master chuckled. Not long after, a huge army of demon race surged out of the demon hall. Behind them, there was a huge heaven and earth cage, and the 10 billion immortals were trapped inside. Their faces were pale, filled with despair, anger, and hatred, but they had no choice but to follow the footsteps of the demon race in front of them. If they touched the edge of the cage, they would be purified and killed. Even their souls would not be able to survive. What is the demon race trying to do? They are not killing us, but are they trying to humiliate us with such a cruel method? The one in front seems to be heaven-destroying demon master. I'm afraid that something big is going to happen. I feel that we have become hostages. Hostages? Could it be that Senior Bei Xian knows that we have been captured, and wants to make a deal with the demon race to save us? As soon as this guess came out, the faces of the 10 billion immortals immediately showed a hint of hope, and they were looking forward to what was going to happen next. Heaven-destroying demon master naturally noticed their movements, and could not help but laugh sinisterly in his heart. Dipankara Buddha and the others rushed all the way to the ancestral star, and it was impossible to keep their whereabouts a secret. Therefore, heaven-destroying demon master immediately locked onto their location, and rushed towards the ancestral star with everyone. After an unknown period of time, they arrived outside the ancestral star. The 10 billion immortals were trapped in the cage, and such a scene immediately attracted the attention of the immortals who were in seclusion in Xianjian sect. Look! Xing Yulei stood up from the ground and stared at the cage in the sky, which was densely packed with immortals. The demon race has captured so many immortals in this period of time. Xing Yue's expression was also very ugly. Heaven-destroying demon master should be here, right? They brought so many immortals here. Are they planning to threaten Master Dipankara to hand over the demon ancestor's heart? The demon race is indeed cunning. They did not intend to make a deal with Master Dipankara at all. Looks like we will not be able to escape today. A bitter smile appeared on someone's face. A 9-petal lotus suddenly rose under Dipankara Buddha's seat, bringing him to float in midair. At the same time, Dipankara Buddha's body was constantly expanding. 10 feet, 10 feet, 100 feet, 1,000 feet in a few breaths of time, a giant Buddha that seemed to be able to break through the dome appeared in the sky above them. Xing Yue and the others were all below the lotus platform. They could feel a warm energy constantly flowing into their hearts, causing their anxiety and fear to gradually dissipate. Amitabha, heaven-destroying demon master, we meet again. Dipankara Buddha chanted a Buddhist name that could be heard throughout the entire star region, and looked at heaven-destroying demon master with a faint smile. Dipankara, it really is you. I did not expect you to live until now. You bald donkey's life-saving means are indeed better than the ancient immortals. Heaven-destroying demon master took a step forward, and his body also enlarged, even taller than Dipankara's 1,000 feet Buddha body. Xingyue and the others saw this, and they gradually became a little more worried. Not Senior Beixian? Who is this monk? The 10 billion immortals in the cage of heaven and earth looked at Dipankara in shock, but there was a glimmer of hope in their hearts. From heaven-destroying demon master's words, they could guess the origin of Dipankara Buddha, and he might be of the same generation as heaven-destroying demon master. If that was the case, they would be able to escape today. Hope was greater. One demon and one Buddha seemed to occupy the entire world, and they faced each other from afar. Chapter 33:10. What was that? Everyone stared blankly at the Panguak. No one knew why such a scene would suddenly appear when Dipankara Buddha and heaven-destroying demon lord were confronting each other. On the side of the devil race, the devil masters of the various tribes who had come together with the heaven-defeating devil master felt a chill run down their spines the moment the Pangu axe appeared. Every single hair on their body stood up. This was something that would only happen when they encountered an extremely dangerous situation. The ancient immortal clan really ambushed us? The demon masters looked at each other in disbelief. Were the ancient immortal clan's brains filled with water? Why would they think of ambushing a fourth-step cultivator? Ha ha ha! Heaven-destroying demon lord laughed wildly without looking at the Pangu axe. Do you think you can deal with me with such a small trick? It seems that the demon ancestor's heart is not in your hands. Fine, I will kill all of you today. Even though he was smiling, the words of the heaven-destroying demon lord were filled with an extremely cold, killing intent. He was really angry. The other party should not have used the demon ancestor's heart as bait. Such a childish and useless method would only lead to a more violent retaliation from the demon clan. The Pangu axe easily cut off heaven-destroying demon lord's head. The expression on his face instantly froze, and a trace of astonishment gradually appeared in his eyes. Before his head fell to the ground, a few more axe attacks came. With a few slashes, heaven-destroying demon lord's head was smashed into pieces. At the same time, Ning Qi's figure holding the Pangu axe appeared in everyone's sight. When Zhao Tong and the others saw Ning Qi, they couldn't help but be shocked. Ning Qi didn't stop. He wasn't sure if a fourth-step Karma Realm existence would be killed so easily, so he continued to hold Pangu's axe and chopped at heaven-destroying demon master's body. After a few hits, his body was smashed into pieces. Heaven-destroying demon lord? The demon masters of the various tribes watched this scene with their mouths agape. That's Senior Beixian. So Senior Beixian has always been by our side. Was heaven-destroying demon lord killed by Senior Beixian? Did our celestial realm win? The celestial clan below, as well as the billions of immortals imprisoned in the prison of heaven and earth, were all excited and their hearts were pounding. No wonder that master said that it was Senior Beixian who invited him. So Senior Beixian has been hiding beside us, waiting for the opportunity just now. Sister? Xingyue was very excited. He knew that his sister had a close relationship with Ning Qi. Since Ning Qi was here today, he wouldn't let anything happen to them. Don't celebrate too early. Heaven-destroying demon lord is the leader of the demon race. I'm afraid he won't be easy to deal with, Xingyue said solemnly. But even heaven-destroying demon lord was chopped into minced meat. As soon as Xingyue finished speaking, a look of shock appeared on his face. The scattered pieces of flesh in the air continued to condense, as if they were about to form a new body. Seeing this, the immortals were shocked. On the other hand, the demons heaved a sigh of relief. Then, their lips curled into a mocking smile. You die. Freeze. Yes. It was a voice that seemed to come from hell, filled with endless anger and resentment. Pu piu piu. Just as the minced meat was formed, Ning Qi once again wielded the Pangu axe and chopped it into minced meat. All the demon masters revealed shocked expressions once again. Isn't Heaven defeating Demon Lord teasing them? That doesn't seem to be the case. What kind of Dharma treasure is that axe? It can actually smash Heaven defeating Demon Lord's physical body? They were truly shocked. The demon race focused on the physical body. Even though they had reached the fourth step and gained many other mystiques, their main body was still the physical body. All their cultivation was based on the physical body. Just now, when Heaven-defeating Demon Lord was chopped into minced meat, they were shocked. Later on, they thought that Heaven-defeating Demon Lord was deliberately teasing them. However, the current situation didn't seem right. Every time Heaven-defeating Demon Lord tried to condense a physical body, Ning Qi would swing the Pangu axe and hit him a few times. In the distant void, Wu Yin and the green-robed old man stood side by side. Seeing this scene, both of them had a look of worry in their eyes. Wu Yin glanced at the sky before his gaze landed on Ning Qi. His lips moved slightly. "Brother Ning, if we don't kill him soon, the aura of the Pangu axe will be sensed by the divine Luo world sooner or later. I also want to, but this guy's physical body is too terrifying. The Pangu axe projection is equivalent to a grade 4 Khanate numinous treasure, and can kill a fourth-step cultivator, but it can't kill him completely. However, he should die completely after a few more times. In such a short period of time, the divine Luo world might not be able to detect it." I sensed the movement of the Pangu axe. As Ning Qi transmitted the message, he brandished the Pangu axe. He was like a butcher, using the heaven and earth as a chopping board to force the heaven-destroying demon lord into reincarnation again and again. Gulp. You, gulu gulu. What kind of axe is this? Every time heaven-destroying demon lord's minced meat condensed, it would let out a horrifying scream. These screams gradually turned from anger and resentment to bewilderment and horror. This was because he discovered that the other party, a cultivator at the great perfection of the Tao-seeking realm, could actually suppress him with this axe. His fleshly body was his origin. Every time it was destroyed, his cultivation would rapidly fall. Finally, when his fleshly body was destroyed for the 9th time, the flesh of the heaven-destroying Devil Lord was no longer condensed. Half of the flesh instantly combusted, turning into a blood mist that filled the sky. The power brought by this blood mist carried the remaining power of the heaven-destroying Devil Lord. The power brought by this bloody mist carried the remaining minced meat and disappeared from everyone's sight. Before disappearing, heaven-destroying Demon Lord's voice came again. "No matter who you are, I will come back to find you. When that day comes, I hope you can wash your neck clean and wait for me to break it. Your aura seems to have fallen to the 3rd step. I wonder if you still have a chance to step into the 4th step?" Ning Qi's eyes revealed a hint of mockery. He couldn't stop heaven-destroying Demon Lord from escaping, but at that moment, he clearly felt that heaven-destroying Demon Lord's aura had completely fallen by a level. He believed that even if heaven-destroying Demon Lord stepped into the 4th step, he might not dare to rashly enter the immortal world. Moreover, his source had been shattered countless times by the Pangu axe projection. He reckoned that whether he would have the chance to step into the 4th step in this lifetime was a huge problem. Heaven-destroying Demon Lord, lost? The immortal race cultivators present stared blankly at this scene. Even after 7 or 8 breaths of time, they still couldn't believe what they saw. Until Ning Qi's gaze landed on the remaining 7 or 8 demon masters. Ning Qi put away the Pangu axe projection and slowly walked towards the group of demon masters. With every step he took, the immortal palace behind him became more visible. However, these demon masters were suppressed by Ning Qi's terrifying aura and didn't dare to move at all. When Ning Qi walked in front of them, the hell-suppressing immortal palace behind him was completely visible. Chapter 33:11. Plot. A demon master at the early stage Tao querying realm couldn't help but kneel down. He really couldn't bear the terrifying pressure coming from the hell-suppressing immortal palace behind Ning Qi at such a close distance. The demon masters in the middle stage of the Tao querying realm lasted a little longer. They only knelt down after a breath of time. As for the only demon master in the late stage of the Tao querying realm, he was still bitterly holding on. His forehead was covered in beads of sweat. His eyes were fixed on Ning Qi, and his eyes were filled with arrogance. Heaven-destroying demon master is a dignified fourth-step cultivator. How can he lose to you? No matter what external force you used just now, he will come back sooner or later. Your immortal world should be prepared for annihilation. First, heaven-destroying demon master's cultivation level has fallen to the perfected Tao querying realm. He is already a third-step cultivator. Ning Qi smiled. Second, there are a few perfected Tao querying realm cultivators in our immortal world, and there might be more in the future. Wu Yin walked out of the void and revealed the immortal palace behind her. A temple appeared behind the Dipankara Buddha, and Sanskrit chants could be heard. At the same time, Ning Qi took out the Laojun elixir cauldron. The fire Qilin leaped out, and the flaming immortal palace behind it brought unparalleled pressure to the group of demon masters. Plop! Finally, the late-stage Tao querying realm demon master, who was holding on bitterly, finally knelt down. His tanned face looked a little pale. Dense cold sweat seeped out uncontrollably. It was too shocking. He didn't expect that there would be so many famous immortal palaces hidden behind the immortal world. Even in the demon race continent, the only existence that could see the immortal palaces was heaven-destroying demon master. Ever since he broke through to the fourth step, none of the other demon masters could break through to this realm. From the looks of it, if heaven-destroying demon master's cultivation level really fell to the third step, then wouldn't the immortal world be much stronger than the demon race continent? Wouldn't the immortal world be much stronger than the demon race continent? This feeling was like the hunter had suddenly become the prey. The sudden reversal made them unable to accept it. Our immortal world won this great war of immortals and demons? After 7 or 8 breaths of time, the immortal clan cultivators finally reacted when they saw the group of arrogant demon masters kneeling before Ning Qi like slaves. They were so excited that they almost cried out loud. We won. The green-robed elder's eyes were slightly red. He had been waiting for this day for far, far too long. However, he knew that defeating the demons was only the beginning of this battle. If he really wanted to haggle over it, the position of the demons was actually very awkward. They were merely used by the heavenly Tao family as a blade to deal with the ancient immortals. Forget it. Now that the heavenly Tao family and the demon race had been destroyed, the only true enemy left was Jiang Tianshu, who hadn't shown himself for many years and whose cultivation might have already reached the peak of the fourth step of the rebirth realm. You have killed quite a number of immortals over the years. I will send you on your way. The corners of Ning Qi's mouth lifted slightly. Wait! A voice suddenly rang out. King Qingguang's figure appeared out of nowhere. Brother Qin. A trace of doubt flashed in Ning Qi's eyes. Brother Ning, if you want to kill this group of demon masters, it would be best if you also obliterate their souls. Otherwise, once they fall into the underworld, it would be easy for them to find a chance to reincarnate. King Qingguang smiled bitterly. Ning Qi's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that King Qingguang couldn't truly control the underworld? But Ning Qi could see that his cultivation seemed to have recovered to its peak, and he also had the power of the immortal palace. No problem. Ning Qi didn't dwell on this question and nodded slightly. Suddenly, a terrifying suction force came from the hell-suppressing immortal palace, sucking all the demon masters in front of it in. These demon masters struggled and howled, but they couldn't break free from the power of the immortal palace. When they entered the hell-suppressing immortal palace, their physical bodies exploded. In the end, they became a corner of the immortal palace with traces of blood. Because Ningqi was already at the Dao Querying Great Perfection Realm, killing Dao Querying Realm cultivators didn't give him any additional bonuses. Each demon master could only give him 100 million merit points. Heaven-destroying demon master fled in defeat, and the remaining demon masters were also killed by Ningqi in the hell-suppressing immortal palace. At this point, the demon race could be considered to be on a different path. Ningqi waved his hand gently, and the power of the immortal palace surged out, shattering the prison of heaven and earth. Seeing this, the 10 billion immortals all cheered excitedly. "Brother Wu, what are your plans now?" Ningqi smiled. Everyone quietened down again and looked expectantly at Ningqi and Wu Yin. "Since the demon race has invaded our immortal world time and again, this time, we will give them a tooth for a tooth." Wu Yin smiled. "A tooth for a tooth?" All the immortals' faces were flushed with excitement. "All right, but I won't be participating in this battle. You have to be careful, heaven-destroying demon master might be hiding in a corner and watching you." Ningqi nodded slightly. He knew that Wu Yin's wife and daughter had died at the hands of the demon race, and he had a deep hatred for them. If he didn't suggest invading the demon race's land today, it would be strange. "Cultivators who want to fight the demon race with me, enter my immortal palace." Wu Yin suddenly changed into his battle form, holding the three-pointed, double-edged blade, and his aura skyrocketed. "I'll go." The first to speak was Immortal Triqi. He bowed to Ningqi, Wu Yin, Qin Guangwang, the azure-robed elder, Dipankara Buddha, and the others, then walked into the immortal palace behind Wu Yin with a determined look. With him taking the lead, the rest of the immortal race cultivators also moved, bowing to Ningqi and the others, then walked into the immortal palace behind Wu Yin. Soon, of the 10 billion immortal race cultivators present, except for a few million, the rest had entered the immortal palace. The millions of immortal race cultivators showed a trace of embarrassment, not daring to look at their fellow Taoists who entered the immortal palace. It wasn't easy for them to survive today's deadly situation, and they didn't want to step into the dangerous demon race's land again. "Senior, Brother Ning." Zhao Tong suddenly flew in front of Ningqi and cupped his hands. "My cultivation hasn't fallen after wandering outside all these years. I'm already a heaven immortal." Ningqi nodded with a smile. "If it wasn't for Senior Brother Ning scolding me to wake me up, perhaps I would still be lingering in the human immortal stage, and never have the chance to step into the earth immortal stage." Zhao Tong's lips curled into a wry smile. After a pause, he suddenly bowed deeply to Ningqi, and then walked into the immortal palace behind Wu Yin with an indomitable will. "I'll bring this batch of immortal race cultivators to the demon race's land for now. If there are any immortal race cultivators who are willing to fight with us, send a message on the All Heavens Forum, asking them to go directly to the entrance of the Demon Sky Immortal Realm. I'll send the Howling Celestial Dog to receive them." Chapter 33:12. Ever since the demon race invaded the immortal world and the immortal world was defeated, the All Heavens Forum had become a lot more desolate. Originally, there were all kinds of posts on the forum, discussing cultivation, alchemy, and artifact forging. But in the end, there were only curses against the demon race. Most of the posts were posted by the demons, and the content was nothing more than asking the immortals to come out and surrender, adding a few threats and insults. However, after Ningqi defeated the heaven-destroying demon lord and killed off the other demon lords from the other tribes, the demon race did not often appear on the All Heavens Forum. On the other hand, the immortal race cultivators gradually became more active. Countless immortal clan cultivators who were hiding in the ghost domain confirmed through the All Heavens Forum that the demon clan was indeed defeated. Only then did they return from all directions. Some of them headed straight for the Devil Sky Immortal Domain, planning to participate in the expedition against the demon world led by Wu Yin. Dipankara Buddha didn't go to the demon realm. Instead, he returned to the Hall of Emptiness Immortality with the green-robed elder. Although the demon realm was defeated, Jiang Tianshu could come to the immortal realm at any time. Therefore, Ning Qi didn't plan to expose the Hall of Emptiness Immortality to the public. He just needed to develop it secretly in the central continent. Langyu Immortal Region. Central Planet. Ning Qi returned to the cave again and heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the old lord was safe and sound. It seemed like he was not injured by heaven-destroying demon lord. You really found a chance of survival in the ancestral land. The Grand Supreme Elder smiled and asked Ning Qi to sit down. After Ning Qi sat down, he asked with a grave expression, "Is Brother Ji dead or alive?" "Dead." The Elder Supreme Lord shook his head. "He should have been killed by the fiend ancestor. Before he died, he sent me a video. Do you want to see it?" Ning Qi nodded. After a while, Ning Qi took a deep breath. Like him, Ji Fei also entered that place and discovered that the devil ancestor was suppressing the projection of the Panguak. But his luck was not as good as Ning Qi's. It was just a face-off and he was killed by the fiend ancestor. "Old Lord, I heard that Brother Ji is your I-Chi turning 3 Pure Ones technique. Is he your avatar? Or does it have its own independent consciousness?" Ning Qi asked. "Naturally, he has his own consciousness and thoughts. You don't have to worry about this. He hasn't really died yet. A strand of spirituality has entered the underworld, and he will reincarnate one day. Perhaps you will be able to meet him in the divine Luo world in the future." The Grand Supreme Elder smiled. "Divine Luo world? Are you saying that Brother Ji has reincarnated into the divine Luo world?" Ning Qi was surprised. The old lord smiled mysteriously. If he still reincarnated in the celestial world, then it would be meaningless. My other friend also used this method to reincarnate into the God Luo world. He paused for a moment and sighed. Unfortunately, that fellow Taoist's strength was unable to compare to Jiang Tianshu in the end. Otherwise, our immortal dimension would have been able to get rid of this ruthless person. That's right. As long as Jiang Tianshu doesn't die, the immortal world will never be able to escape his control. Right now, he can't split himself to come here. If he does, the ancient immortal clan will fall into his hands. Ning Qi nodded his head slowly, feeling rather happy in his heart. Although Ji Fei had died, he was able to reincarnate in the divine Luo world. Perhaps this was what it meant to be reborn after being destroyed. "Emperor Beixian, you have to be quick. I have a feeling that Jiang Tianshu will return in 100 years. If you're still in the deity realm then, I'm afraid you won't be able to escape." The Grand Supreme Elder's expression suddenly turned serious. 100 years, Ning Qi's expression changed. He wasn't confident that he could go to the divine Luo world in such a short period of time. However, no matter how powerful Jiang Tianshu was, he shouldn't be able to discover the existence of the divine Luo mystic realm, right? That was a good place to make a transition. Ning Qi immediately made up his mind. Not only did he want to go to the divine Luo mystic realm, but he also wanted to move the entire Void Immortal Temple there. Although the overall strength of the divine Luo mystic realm was much stronger than the deity realm, given Ning Qi's status there, the Void Immortal Temple wouldn't be in any danger. The only people that Ning Qi had a bad relationship with were the dragon race, which was also destroyed by Ning Qi. The monster race was on good terms with Ning Qi, while the three-eyed race kept a low profile. After bidding farewell to the Grand Supreme Elder, Ning Qi moved and returned to the Void Immortal Temple. He immediately asked the system if he could bring the Void Immortal Temple to the divine Luo mystic realm. "You can pack the sect buildings, but the packing fee will be 50 million merit points." The system notification sounded. 50 million. Condensing a star soul essence only costs 500,000 merit point. Packing the Void Immortal Temple costs 50 million? Are you trying to rip me off? Ning Qi was stunned. The value of the void immortal temple couldn't be compared to the star soul essence at all. The system's price immediately reminded Ning Qi of the anger he felt when he was still living on Earth and checking his phone bill every month. Unreasonable charges. Host's strength has already advanced to the Tao querying perfected realm and is no longer protected. Now, condensing a star soul essence will cost 100 million merit points. The system notification was still cold, and it didn't seem to be affected by Ning Qi's question. 100 million merit points. After confirming again and again that the system was indeed raising the price, Ning Qi spent 50 million merit points to pack up the void immortal temple. This way, he would have the ability to leave this realm. After that, he didn't speak to the system anymore. He went straight to the Heaven Tao Pavilion, found the dry well, and used it. The meteor pendant on his neck opened up a passage, and he once again came to the divine Luo mystic realm. Great wilderness. As time passed in the divine Luo mystic realm faster than in the deity realm, several years had passed since Ning Qi left the divine Luo mystic realm. After a few years of development, there were many more sects in the great wilderness. These sects chose to be established here because of Ning Qi's identity as the great wilderness king. His identity. Over the years, the human race's position as the sacred tribe has gradually stabilized. It's a pity that the great wilderness king hasn't appeared. I wonder if he has gone somewhere to cultivate in seclusion. If he continues like this, I'm afraid the three-eyed race will do something. Lin Zuyo said with a solemn expression. He was surrounded by Ning Qi's direct subordinates in the great wilderness. They used to be cultivators of the Zuyu courtyard, but now, they were cultivators of the great wilderness king's residence. Brother Lin, actually, we don't have to worry about this. The great wilderness king has a good relationship with the demon race. Martial goddess Jinwu Zhiga and one of the four great priests, Priest Ling Xian, are also on good terms with the great wilderness king. They won't let the three-eyed race attack the human race. That's true. Lin Zuyo nodded slightly. Suddenly, he seemed to see something extraordinary from the corner of his eyes. He stood up abruptly and looked out of the door in a daze. Seeing this, everyone reacted quickly and looked in the direction of Lin Zuyo's gaze. What they saw made them ecstatic, and they all stood up to pay their respects. Greetings, great wilderness king. Everyone bowed respectfully. Dispense with the formalities. Ning Qi waved his hand indifferently, walked to the main seat and sat down. He said with a smile, "When I wasn't around, did any foreign races dare to provoke us?" Reporting to the great wilderness king, the human race has already become the sacred tribe. No foreign races dared to provoke us. However, some time ago, the Marquis god Courage personally came here and seemed to want to see the great wilderness king. Lin Zuyo said respectfully. Wang Chao. I'll go see him. Carry on as usual. Ning Qi nodded, stood up and left. Chapter 33:13. Ning Qi didn't rush to Saint Virtue Dynasty immediately. Instead, he found a secluded place in the great wilderness and set up Hollow Immortal Temple. Sacred Concubine Cold Sky and the others left Hollow Immortal Temple and looked around curiously. The low-level disciples in Hollow Immortal Temple only knew that Hollow Immortal Temple was moving again, but they didn't know where it was going. Sacred Concubine Cold Sky and the others were mentally prepared. Beixian, this is Shenluo Mystery Land? It's rumored to be a lost corner of Shenluo world? Sacred Concubine Cold Sky hugged Ning Rulai and looked surprised. She could feel the density of the spirit qi here. No place in the celestial world could compare to it. Even if he had set up all kinds of spirit gathering arrays, it would not be able to compare to the natural flow of spirit qi. Dongfang Haojie and his family, Duan Yingjun and his wife, and the higher-ups of Hollow Immortal Temple looked around excitedly. Dipankara and the green-robed old man were calmer. This is indeed Shenluo Mystery Land, but there's no evidence to prove whether or not it's a lost corner of Shunluo world. But if you cultivate to the perfected Tao querying state here, you might encounter the lightning tribulation. If you succeed, you can ascend to the real Shunluo world. Ningqi smiled. What? The green-robed old man gasped. His eyes were filled with excitement and shock. Even when the ancient immortal clan was at its peak, no one had heard of anyone ascending to Shunluo world. It was as if Shunluo world and the celestial world were completely separated and had no connection. If you wanted to go there, you had to find another way. But this place actually had an ascension passage? Didn't that mean that they had a chance to ascend to Shunluo world in the future? Benefactor Ning, is that true? Dipankara Buddha asked solemnly. Of course. Not only that, some existences in Shunluo world will occasionally pay attention to this place. Compared to the celestial world, the cultivators of Shunluo Mystery Land are much luckier. Ningqi smiled. He paused and looked at Dipankara Buddha. Master Dipankara, with your cultivation, I think it won't be long before you encounter the lightning tribulation. If you go to Shunluo world before me, remember to go back to the celestial world when you have time. Dongfang Haojie and the others were envious. Their cultivations were still very low, not even at the third step. There was still a long way to go before they could break through to the third step. Definitely. Randang nodded. If he ascends to Divine Luo world, little Rulai will definitely not need to be a monk in the future. Sacred concubine Cold Sky's eyes moved slightly, and the smile on her face became even wider. Reverend Randang, why don't you find a place to go into seclusion during this period of time? As for little Rulai's dharma, I'll impart it to him. Oh, Dipankara Buddha hesitated for a moment. How could he not see through sacred concubine Cold Sky's thoughts? However, the temptation of ascending to the divine Luo realm was something that even Buddhas would be tempted by. In that case, I'll have to trouble you, madam. Dipankara ancient Buddha cupped his hands. Not long after, Dipankara Buddha left the great wilderness in search of a suitable place for seclusion. Brother Dongfang, the spirit chi here is extremely rich. For second-step cultivators, this is simply a holy land for cultivation. The effect is many times better than taking elixirs. I'll have to trouble you to arrange for the disciples to go out in batches to gain experience and improve their cultivation so that they can integrate into this place. Tell them not to let anyone know about the immortal world, even if it means death. Ningqi said. Dongfang Haojie nodded with a grave expression. Brother Ning, don't worry. Leave this matter to me. I'm going to the human race's Saint Virtue dynasty. Qingfeng, you've guarded the ancestral planet for many years, but your cultivation hasn't improved. Since you're here, you should try to ascend to the divine Luo realm. Ningqi looked at the green-robed elder and said plainly. Yes, master. The green-robed elder bowed. Little Rulai, when father goes out to do something, you have to be obedient. Don't make your mother angry, understand? Ningqi hugged Ning Rulai and pinched his face a few times. Little Rulai pouted unhappily, then nodded obediently. Father, don't worry. Leave mother to me. You say it like I'm going to die. Ningqi couldn't help but flick his forehead a few times. After giving some instructions to sacred concubine Cold Sky, he flew towards Saint Virtue dynasty. However, not long after Ningqi left, Wang Muting organized a team. Father, Mother, Ling Ming, Li Xian, I've stayed in the God Luo mystic realm for many years, so I'm very familiar with this place. Beixian isn't free, so why don't I bring you around? Okay. I didn't have enough fun with Ling last time. Little Yuer quickly clapped her hands and agreed. Everyone, including Duan Yingjun and his wife, were tempted. Wang Muting had only planned to bring 7 or 8 people, but when they left, there were more than 100 people in the team. They were all the higher-ups of the War God Temple and their children, of course. Apart from them, there was also the Dubhe God Armament Dragon, the mighty Spirit God General, the Ink Guard's leader, and the 9 ink guards. With such strength, as long as it wasn't the patriarch of the sacred tribe, who was at the perfected Tao querying realm, they could go anywhere in the God Luo mystic realm. Saint Virtue Dynasty. Divine Courage Marquis Residence. Who are you? When the 2 guards at the entrance saw Ning Qi swaggering into the courageous God Marquis' mansion, they immediately stepped forward to stop him. At the same time, a few outsider cultivators with the human body and the head of a tiger walked out of the Marquis' mansion. Is the Divine Courage Marquis here? Ning Qi smiled faintly. You want to see the Marquis? Do you have an invitation? These 2 guards were unfamiliar faces and had never seen Ning Qi before. Because Ning Qi's aura was very obscure, they mistook him for a young junior who wanted to ask for a better future. Their faces immediately revealed arrogant expressions. Who didn't know that the Divine Courage Marquis was powerful? He was someone who had a good relationship with the great desolate monarch, the leader of the sacred tribe. Many foreign race patriarchs wanted to see him, but the Divine Courage Marquis refused. No. Ning Qi smiled. Little brother, how can you see the Divine Courage Marquis without an invitation? I think you should find an invitation. Perhaps you will have a chance to see the Marquis residence's housekeeper. As for the Marquis, even we can't see him. What right do you have to see him? A tiger-headed cultivator said mockingly. The other foreign race cultivators heard this and couldn't help but laugh softly. If it was them in the past, they would definitely laugh now. However, this was the entrance of the Divine Courage Marquis, and laughing was against the rules. They were afraid of offending the Divine Courage Marquis. What right do I have to do with you? Ning Qi looked at the tiger-headed cultivator. You, the tiger-headed cultivator was instantly enraged. Just as he was about to make a move, he was stopped by the people beside him. Chapter 33:14. Although the tiger-headed foreign cultivators did not attack Ning Qi, they did not choose to leave either. Instead, they looked at Ning Qi mockingly, as though they were waiting for Ning Qi to be chased away to find a chance to teach him a lesson. The guard at the entrance of the Courage God Constabulary glanced at Ning Qi and said in a low voice, "They are right. Without an invitation, the Marquis will not see you. Please leave. Why are you gathering at the entrance and making a ruckus?" A figure walked over and frowned at Ning Qi's group. When his gaze swept past Ning Qi, he was suddenly stunned. Then, his pupils dilated as though he had seen something unbelievable. "Sir Butler, it is a junior without an invitation who wishes to see the Marquis. I have already asked him to leave." The guard hurriedly cupped his hands and said, "The junior you mentioned is him?" The butler pointed at Ning Qi in disbelief. He looked at the guard with a complicated expression. "That's him." The guard nodded. "But..." The guard covered his face in disbelief. "Sir Butler?" At this moment, the butler in his eyes was running a few steps. Before he reached Ning Qi, he had already knelt down. His knees moved a full 10 feet forward. "Please forgive me, great Wilderness King." The butler trembled and did not dare to raise his head. Ning Qi had stayed in the Divine Courage Marquis residence for a period of time, so this housekeeper naturally recognized Ning Qi. He was not like the guard at the gate, who had just obtained this position and entered the Divine Courage Marquis residence. He did not know what Ning Qi looked like. Great Wilderness King? The tiger-headed cultivators looked at each other. However, after a breath's time, they reacted and gasped. The tiger-headed cultivator, who had mocked Ning Qi earlier, was trembling like a sieve. His eyes were filled with fear. How can he be the great Wilderness King? We are doomed. We are doomed. With a thud, the tiger-headed foreign cultivators knelt down. The guard stared blankly at the scene in front of him. At this point, how could they not know Ning Qi's identity? When he thought about how he had treated the great Wilderness King as a junior who had come to seek a better future, his legs gave way and he knelt on the ground. In an instant, Ning Qi was surrounded by kneeling figures. "Bring me to see Brother Wang," Ning Qi said lightly. "Yes, yes. Great desolate king, please follow me." Only then did the butler stand up and bow. When he brought Ning Qi into the courageous god constabulary, the 2 guards and the 5 tiger-headed foreign race cultivators realized that they were completely drenched. However, the 7 of them were somewhat glad that Ning Qi did not cause trouble for them. As expected of the great wilderness queen. "She is indeed magnanimous, indeed magnanimous." The tiger-headed cultivator who had mocked Ning Qi smiled sheepishly. His fellow clansmen were looking at him as if they wanted to kill him. Suddenly a figure returned. It was the butler from before. He stared coldly at the 5 tiger-headed alien cultivators and said, "Your ghost tiger clan wants to become a vassal of my human clan? Don't even think about it. Get out of the human race's territory. If I ever see you again, I'll kill you without mercy." With that, he turned around and left. The tiger-headed beings exchanged a flabbergasted glance before quickly departing with unease and horror on their faces. Brother Ning. Once Wang Chao knew that Ning Qi had arrived, he welcomed him excitedly. Seeing this, the butler retreated silently, leaving Ning Qi and Wang Chao behind. "Brother Wang, I heard from Linzio that you came to look for me some time ago?" Ning Qi smiled and said, "Is there any troublesome matter?" "Troublesome matter? No, it's not that." Wang Chao was slightly stunned. Thereafter, he waved his hand and took out a stone. He smiled and said, "It's related to this Star Soul Stone?" Seeing this, Ning Qi took the Star Soul Stone from Wang Chao's hand. After flipping through it a few times, he smiled and said, "Brother Wang, how many of these Star Soul Stones have you found?" From Ning Qi's perspective, if Wang Chao was lucky, he might be able to find a pile of Star Soul Stone that could condense 1 Star Soul essence. As such, Ning Qi would not be stingy with his benefits. Next, Ning Qi planned to find a way to enter the divine Luo world. The Star Soul Stone that had miraculous effects on 4th step cultivators could be used as a strategic weapon. He stored it and did not plan to condense it into Star Soul essence. Unless it was in the divine Luo world, the price of Star Soul essence was high enough. A lot. Wang Chao could not help but be excited. He seemed to see a few Dao-seeking realm puppets standing behind him. After saying this, he took out a Qian Kuan ring and passed it to Ning Qi. "Brother Ning, you said that 1,000 brilliant light stones can be used to refine a Dao-seeking realm puppet. I have counted it. There are about 5,000 brilliant light stones in here." 5,000 brilliant light stones? Ning Qi's expression became extremely strange. Where did Wang Chao find so many Star Soul Stones? According to Ning Qi's understanding of Star Soul Stones, every Star Soul Stone had a certain probability of being produced after a planet was destroyed. This was the key. Just a certain probability. Not every planet could produce it after it was destroyed. And the Star Soul Stones produced after a planet was destroyed were of different sizes. Some might be more than 10 brilliant light stones, while some might not even be half a brilliant light stone. 100 Star Soul Stones could condense 1 Star Soul essence and refine an early-stage Dao-seeking realm puppet. As for 5,000 brilliant light stones, he scanned it with his divine will. Indeed, what Wang Chao said was true. There were at least 5,000 brilliant light stones in the Qian Kuan ring, and there was even more. "Brother Ning, if it's possible, can you refine 2 early-stage Dao-seeking realm puppets for me?" Wang Chao asked carefully when he saw the satisfied look on Ning Qi's face. 2. Ning Qi looked at Wang Chao with a faint smile. "1 is fine too." Wang Chao immediately lowered the price. Who asked Ning Qi to be the only one in the entire God Luo mystic realm who knew how to refine Dao-seeking realm puppet. Even the Golden Crow demonic lord and the three-eyed race patriarch, who possessed the power of the immortal palace, did not have such an ability. "Brother Wang, you're too kind. I will give you 5. Ning Qi smiled. 5. Wang Chao was stunned for a moment before he gasped. Brother Ning, aren't you making a loss this way? Do I look like someone who would make a loss? Ning Qi smiled, looking like a straightforward person who did not resort to insinuations. Wang Chao looked at Ning Qi blankly and finally reacted. So refining an early-stage Dao-seeking realm puppet did not require 1,000 brilliant light stones. Thank you, Brother Ning. Chapter 33:15. A few years later, Ning Qi handed the promised 5 Dao querying primary stage ink guards to Wang Chao, left Saint Virtue Dynasty, and headed towards the sacred land of the demon race. The 3 sacred tribe leaders definitely knew some secrets on how to transcend the tribulation and ascend to Shenluo world. The dragon race had been exterminated, and the relationship between the 3-eyed race wasn't good, so Ning Qi naturally chose to ask the Golden Crow Demon Lord. A few months later, as he didn't hide his cultivation aura, the demon race recognized Ning Qi. Therefore, Ning Qi easily met Priestess Ling Xian, as well as Golden Wu Zhiga and the Valkyrie of Martial God Palace. Their strength didn't change much, but Ning Qi left Shenluo Mystic Realm. When he returned, he was already at the Dao querying primary stage. Great Wilderness Queen, your cultivation seems to have gotten stronger. Priestess Ling Xian's innocent face revealed a hint of surprise. Golden Wu Zhiga's expression also became complicated. She remembered that when she first met Ning Qi, he wasn't her match. In a short period of time, his cultivation was getting further and further away from her. I have improved a little. Ning Qi smiled and nodded. Priestess Ling Xian didn't seem to want to waste her breath on the topic of cultivation. She said excitedly, Great Wilderness Queen, you came at the right time. I still have many questions about puppets that I would like to ask you. Take a look at this Mahist mechanic technique. Ning Qi smiled helplessly, took out a jade bamboo and passed it to Priestess Ling Xian. Priestess Ling Xian was slightly stunned. She took the jade bamboo and scanned it with her divine will. Her face was instantly filled with excitement as she stared at Ning Qi with her big eyes. Great Wilderness Queen, is this your puppet technique manual? Sort of. Ning Qi smiled and nodded. There was something in his heart that he didn't say. Without the method to condense the star soul essence, this manual's limit would only be an emperor-level puppet. However, the knowledge about puppets contained within was enough for Priestess Ling Xian to study for a few hundred years. Such a valuable item, Priestess Ling Xian frowned, as though she wanted to repay Ning Qi with something. Ning Qi smiled and said, I am here today to seek an audience with the Golden Crow Demon Lord. Can you help me pass the message? That's easy. Priest Ling Xian patted his chest and guaranteed. They didn't make Ning Qi wait for too long. In just a short 15 minutes, Priest Ling Xian personally brought Ning Qi to the Golden Crow Demon Lord's seclusion grounds. It was a volcano that constantly spewed out fire essence. The Golden Crow Demon Lord was currently sitting in the magma of the volcano. When Ning Qi and Priest Ling Xian arrived, he opened his eyes and soared into the sky, laughing as he welcomed the two of them. However, just as he approached Ning Qi, the Golden Crow Demon Master's expression changed slightly, and he said in surprise and bewilderment, Great Wilderness Monarch, your cultivation has improved quite a bit compared to a few years ago? Thank you for your praise, Golden Crow Demon Lord. Ning Qi smiled modestly. Seeing this, the Golden Crow Demonic Lord thought for a moment and smiled. Great Wilderness Monarch, you don't visit me for no reason. What brings you here today? Ning Qi went straight to the point. I'm here today to seek advice from the Golden Crow Demon Lord regarding the ascension to the Divine Luo world. Ascend to the Divine Luo world? The Golden Crow Demon Lord was stunned and subconsciously said, Didn't you come from the Divine Luo world? Previously, with Ning Qi's various performances and the fact that he had the Fire Qilin as a mount, everyone thought that Ning Qi came from the Divine Luo world. But now, things didn't seem to be so simple. Could it be that the Golden Crow Demon Lord thinks that with my strength, I can easily return to the divine Luo world? I still have to ascend like everyone else. It's just that I don't have any experience in this, so I came to seek advice from the Golden Crow Demon Lord. Ning-Chi cupped his hands. What he said was very reasonable, and it even hinted to the Golden Crow Demon Lord that he came to the divine Luo mystic realm not because he wanted to, but because of some special reason. As for what the reason was, the Golden Crow Demon Lord could guess for himself. Seems like he really offended a big shot in the divine Luo world, so he escaped to the divine Luo mystic realm. The Golden Crow Demon Lord thought for a while, then he saw Priest Ling Xian looking at him curiously, and he couldn't help but smile. You may leave. Priest Ling Xian actually wanted to hear about ascending to the divine Luo world. It was said that the divine Luo world was filled with treasures and resources. As long as one reached the divine Luo world, one's cultivation would increase rapidly. Your current goal is to break the door of the Lock Palace. Listening to those will only bring you harm. The Golden Crow Demon Lord smiled. All right then, Priest Ling Xian nodded helplessly, bade farewell to Ning-Chi, and turned to leave. After she left, the Golden Crow Goblin Lord looked at Ning-Chi with a serious expression. Great desolate monarch, I don't have the experience of ascending to the divine Luo world. However, there were many almighty seniors who succeeded in ascending to the divine Luo world. However, most of them died under the lightning tribulation and were consigned to eternal damnation. If you have other means to return to the divine Luo world, you don't have to try. From what I know, the thunder calamity in the divine Luo world is very different from here. The power of the thunder calamity in the divine Luo world is a few times smaller than here, and the success rate is higher. It's alright, I have to try. Ning-Chi smiled. Since the great wilderness monarch is so insistent, I shall tell you about the experience of the seniors. Firstly, to undergo the thunder calamity, your cultivation must be at the peak of the Tao querying great perfection realm. What is the peak? Actually, everyone's aptitude is different and the boundary of the peak is different too. My current strength is much stronger than that of the three-eyed race. However, he might be able to reach the peak earlier than me. Only by reaching the peak will I be repelled by the divine Luo mystic realm and trigger the thunder calamity. Pausing for a moment, he continued, after reaching the peak, you will trigger the thunder calamity. According to the experience left behind by the seniors, if you use the power of the immortal palace to resist the thunder calamity, it will make the thunder calamity even more ferocious. Therefore, you must have a physical body that can resist the attack of the thunder calamity. At least, you must use your physical body to resist the first 3 thunder calamities. Only then will the power of the last thunder calamity not have a qualitative change. Otherwise, you will definitely die. Other than that, I have no other experience. The Golden Crow Demon Lord smiled. As he spoke, he kept observing Ning-Chi's expression. Seeing that Ning-Chi was deep in thought but not shocked or fearful, the Golden Crow Demon Lord was more confident that Ning-Chi could survive the thunder calamity and ascend to the divine Luo world in the future. Thank you for telling me the truth, Senior. I will go back and prepare now. Ning-Chi cupped his hands and thanked the Golden Crow Demon Lord. You're welcome. If I am fortunate enough to head to the divine Luo world in the future, I hope that the great wilderness monarch can take care of me. The Golden Crow Demon Lord also cupped his hands and smiled. Sure. Ning-Chi smiled. The confidence in his eyes made the Golden Crow Demon Lord confirm that Ning-Chi might have some technique that he did not know of that could increase the chances of surviving the thunder calamity. After leaving the demon race, the confidence in Ning-Chi's eyes turned serious. If not for the Golden Crow Demon Lord's reminder, if he really started to undergo the thunder calamity and used the power of the immortal palace, the 4th thunder calamity might have a complete qualitative change. At that time, he might even be struck to death. Chapter 33:16. Time was like water, quietly flowing by. Over the past few decades, the overall strength of the Void Immortal Temple had been greatly improved. The spirit chi of heaven and earth in the God Luo mystic realm was too dense, and the speed of cultivation was much faster than in the celestial world. Coupled with the endless elixirs given by Ning Qi, the senior members of the War God Temple had basically broken through the shackles of the Emperor realm and were only half a step away from the ancient transformation realm. This speed was naturally not worth mentioning compared to Ning Qi, but compared to ordinary cultivators in the celestial world, it was simply faster than riding a rocket. In the celestial world, some geniuses with excellent aptitudes spent many years to break through to the Xian immortal realm or even the primordial unity realm. However, Dongfang Haojie and the rest had cultivated for less than 10,000 years, and they had already become Emperor realm existences. They might even advance further and advance to the ancient transformation realm. In the future, there was a great possibility that they would even reach the Dao querying realm. However, compared to the native geniuses of the God Luo mystic realm, they were slightly weaker. In the human race, there was no lack of existences who reached the Emperor realm or even the ancient transformation realm after cultivating for 7,000 to 8,000 years. In a place with extremely dense spirit chi in the great wilderness, a figure was sitting cross-legged. His movements seemed to be eternal, and after a long time, he looked like a stone. However, during this period, not even a mosquito dared to stay within a radius of thousands of miles, and no cultivators dared to pass by. Everyone knew that this was the place where the great wilderness king cultivated in seclusion. Ning Qi slowly opened his eyes. He could feel that the power of the immortal palace in his body had reached a bottleneck. The previous few months of cultivation could not increase his strength at all. According to the Golden Crow Demon Lord, this was already the peak of the Dao querying realm. Perhaps it won't be long before I trigger the lightning tribulation. Ning Qi muttered to himself. All these years, he did not choose to enter the top cultivation training ground to cultivate in seclusion. Instead, he chose the place with the most abundant spirit chi in the great wilderness. It was because at this level, the spirit chi in the top cultivation training ground could not compare to the spirit chi in the God Luo mystic realm. Even with the addition of the flow of time, it could not close the gap between the two. Cultivating in the top cultivation training ground for a year was not as effective as cultivating in the Great Wilderness King realm for half a day in the Great Wilderness King. It could be said that the higher one went, the more useless the top-notch training ground would be for improving one's cultivation. Fortunately, the flow of time could affect a wide range of things, such as alchemy and artifact forging. Otherwise, it would have become an incomparably useless function for Ning Qi. System, it seems like you haven't leveled up for many years. Will you update the version in the future? Can we remodel the top cultivation training ground? Ning Qi thought of something and asked. After remaining silent for a while, the system replied, when the host reaches God Luo world, there will be a system advancement mission. If the host is able to complete it, the system will advance to the final version. There really is one? Ning Qi was slightly stunned. It was just a casual question, but he didn't expect to get an accurate response from the system. This was very rare for the system, which had always been a man of few words. The system ignored Ning Qi. Ning Qi asked for some details. Seeing that the system was not replying, he decided not to ask for trouble. He got up and took a step back into the virtual immortal hall. A few days later, all the higher-ups gathered in the most luxurious hall of the virtual immortal hall. Everyone is here. Today, I have something to inform everyone. Perhaps in the near future, I will trigger the lightning tribulation and head to God Luo world. Ning Qi's gaze swept across Dongfang Haojie, Duan Yingjun, Li Minji, Niu Dezhuang, De Guzi, and the other higher-ups of the War God Temple. Along the way, they were all weak and were only at the Qi refinement stage. Now, all of them had extremely powerful cultivation. Most importantly, they were all very young and didn't need to worry about their lifespan. In the future, even without Ning Chi's help, some of them would be able to ascend to God Luo world. Here. Young master is going to God Luo world? Can you bring us along? Little Yuer was a little shocked. That's right. Just let us stay in the creation domain. Zuoling quickly nodded. Although Li Macho didn't say anything, the meaning expressed in her eyes was the same as the two girls. Only Cold Sky Saint Concubine and Li Xian looked at each other and saw a bitter smile in each other's eyes. With Ning Chi's cautious personality, how could he bring them along when he was going through the lightning tribulation? If the lightning tribulation failed, everyone in the Void Immortal Hall would be buried with him. As expected, Ning Chi shook his head and smiled. I don't have full confidence in the lightning tribulation this time. If the lightning tribulation fails, the creation domain will no longer exist. Wouldn't you all be wiped out in one fell swoop by staying inside? Why don't you all focus and cultivate properly? Strive to ascend to God Luo world by yourself one day. At that time, I will create a world there and wait for everyone's arrival. A trace of disappointment appeared on Zuoling Er's face. Little Yu wanted to speak again, but she was stopped by Wang muting with a smile. Don't make things difficult for your young master. How could he bear to let you take such a huge risk with him? If it affects his lightning tribulation, wouldn't it be a bad thing? Little Yuer and Zuoling nodded in disappointment when Wang muting spoke. However, this disappointment didn't last for long. The two girls said confidently, Young master, wait for us in God Luo world. We will definitely rush there as soon as possible. Haha, good. Ning Chi smiled and nodded. After informing them of the matter, Ning Chi spent a month to accompany Sacred Concubine Cold Sky, Li Xian, and Little Rulai. However, on the day of his departure, Ning Chi didn't inform anyone and quietly disappeared from the Void Immortal Hall. Ning Chi had long thought of the place where he was going to undergo the lightning tribulation. It had to be a secluded place where no one was around. This way, he wouldn't be affected by external forces. At the same time, no matter if he succeeded or failed, the news wouldn't leak out. If he failed and others found out, not only would the human race be in danger, even the Void Immortal Hall would be in danger. There was a certain level of risk. Several months later, Ning Chi came to a region that was very far away from the human race. Furthermore, this place was filled with death aura. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was inferior to the celestial world and couldn't even compare to the central continent. It could be considered a dead land in the God Luo secret realm. Other than wild beasts, there were rarely any intelligent races that would come here. This is the place. Ning Chi swept his gaze around and a smile instantly appeared in his eyes. After searching for a few months, he finally didn't waste his effort. In such a secluded place, the commotion of the lightning tribulation probably wouldn't spread too far. During these few months, Ning Chi had always felt that the lightning tribulation would descend at any moment. This feeling came from his sixth sense. At the same time, his corporeal body would also sense it. For example, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth in the surroundings would be in varying degrees of disorder wherever he was. If it wasn't for the fact that the lightning tribulation was about to be triggered, such abnormalities wouldn't have occurred. Chapter 33:17. Countless wild beasts suddenly sprang out of the mountain range where Ning Chi was. They panicked and fled in all directions, as if they had a premonition that something terrible was brewing in the dark clouds above their heads, something that could kill them all. The earth rumbled. 2 hours later, all of the wild beasts in the mountain range had left, leaving behind only the old and weak. They appeared around Ning Chi, looking at him with suspicious, timid, and probing gazes, as if they knew that the dark clouds above their heads had been drawn over by Ning Chi. Let's go. Ning Chi smiled and gently waved his hand. Countless strands of immortal chi entered the bodies of these wild beasts. They stood there in shock, and at a speed visible to the naked eye, they were rejuvenated. Soon, they were back to their prime, or even better. A wolf that had been lame looked down at its newly regrown leg. It suddenly bent its front leg and knelt before Ningqi. It respectfully bowed before turning to leave. The rest of the wild beasts seemed to have become more intelligent. They looked deeply at Ningqi and then went their separate ways. Their instincts were telling them to leave as soon as possible, or else they would undoubtedly die. To Ningqi it was as easy as lifting a finger. But to these wild beasts it was a blessing in disguise. Although they were forced to leave their home, it was very likely that some of them would be able to fully develop their own consciousness and embark on the path of cultivation, such as the lone wolf. Rumble, thunder suddenly came from the dark clouds. Then, a bolt of lightning streaked across the sky, almost tearing the sky apart. Someone is undergoing tribulation here? What kind of tribulation is this? Suddenly, a soft exclamation came from not far away. Then, there was a wave of whispers. There seemed to be 7 or 8 people. Soon, an immortal boat arrived. On the boat stood 7 or 8 figures, half male and half female. Their cultivation wasn't too high, all around the great emperor realm. Ningqi frowned. There hadn't been any cultivators in the past few days. Today, the tribulation had just appeared and they just happened to run into a group of cultivators? This place is very dangerous. You should leave. Ningqi said lightly. This tribulation's aura is very strong. Have you advanced from the great emperor realm to the ancient transformation realm? The group didn't seem to want to leave. One of them, a young man in white, looked curiously at Ningqi. But deep in his eyes there was a hint of malice. Ningqi smiled as he suddenly understood. Many cultivators would indeed take advantage of the tribulations of others to strike them while they were down so that they could take away their personal treasures, pills, and cultivation resources. This group of human cultivators before him most likely had such thoughts. That was why they approached even though they knew someone was undergoing tribulation. However, the other party's judgment of Ningqi's cultivation was completely wrong. What do you think? Ningqi smiled. You're just trying to be mysterious. Since we've encountered you during your tribulation, it's best that you don't act so arrogantly. Otherwise, we can easily kill you under the lightning tribulation. That's right. It seems like you don't understand the situation, right? If you speak nicely, we might be able to protect you. A female cultivator said with a smile. Do you really want to know what tribulation I'm going through? Ningqi suddenly laughed. If you want to say it, then say it. If you don't want to say it, won't it be clear to us here? After the white-robed youth finished speaking, he and the others looked at each other and smiled. Many people call this lightning tribulation as the God Luo tribulation. As long as you pass it, you can ascend to the God Luo world. You should have heard of it, right? Ningqi smiled. God Luo tribulation? The group of young men and women was slightly stunned. Subsequently, they gasped and looked at Ningqi in disbelief. All the cultivators in the God Luo mystic realm had heard of the God Luo tribulation. After all, it was the final goal of all cultivators. When every cultivator started cultivating, their master would tell them that their goal was the God Luo world. How to go there? Only by cultivating to the Tao querying perfected realm and successfully passing the God Luo tribulation could one ascend. However, since ancient times, there were very few almighties who could reach this step. Apart from the 3 sacred clans, the other foreign clans did not have such an existence in all these years. And this guy in front of them should be a human. Which human had the cultivation to pass the God Luo tribulation? The great wilderness king. At the thought of this, their bodies could not help but tremble. You're the great wilderness king? The greed in the white-robed youth's eyes had already disappeared without a trace. Instead, it was replaced with fear and lingering fear. He was not sure if Ningqi had guessed their plan earlier on. Ningqi smiled and nodded. I wanted to find a secluded place to undergo the tribulation. I didn't expect to meet a human cultivator. I didn't know that the great wilderness king was undergoing the tribulation here. Please forgive me if I offended you just now. I'll leave now, leave now. Cold sweat broke out on the white-robed youth's forehead continuously. He smiled embarrassedly and bowed continuously. At the same time, he shot a look at his good friend beside him, asking the guy who was controlling the ferry boat to quickly bring them away from this place. Isn't it a little too late to leave now? Ningqi said indifferently. The white-robed youth and the rest froze and looked at Ningqi with horror. One of them shouted in fear, "Great Wilderness King, we're also human elites." A vast wave of immortal palace energy instantly struck this human prodigy. His words came to an abrupt halt as his physical body instantly disintegrated. "Spare me!" The few of them burst into tears and snot. They really did not expect to meet the great Wilderness King when they were just out for a mission. What they regretted the most was that they knew that someone was undergoing the tribulation here. Why did they have to be greedy and want to be the fisherman? Sometimes there's no way to salvage a wrong decision. Ningqi's eyes showed no pity. He looked at them indifferently and waved his hand gently. The few of them, including the ferry boat, exploded and turned into dust. At the same time, the tribulation seemed to be almost done brewing in the dark clouds in the sky. Accompanied by a loud bang and blinding white light, a lightning bolt that was as thick as a mountain directly landed on Ningqi's body. The 9 inner hidden gates were opened. 8-9 Arcane Art 9th Transformation. Ningqi instantly turned into a giant ape and used his body to forcefully resist the first lightning bolt. Wisps of green smoke came out of Ningqi's body. However, apart from his skin being slightly charred, the first god Luo tribulation did not hurt Ningqi's internal organs. In the dark clouds, the second lightning bolt began to brew again. Its aura was twice as strong as before. With my body, it shouldn't be a problem for me to forcefully resist the first 3 lightning bolt. It's just that I don't know if there will be any problems with the 4th lightning bolt. Chapter 33:18. Several days later, the second thunder tribulation directly fell on Ningqi's head without any warning. This time, it was 3 or 4 times fiercer than the first one. Ningqi's skin was completely charred, as if he was dead. However, such an injury still wouldn't make Ningqi feel pressured. Strength. At the same time, it strengthened Ningqi's body. Very quickly, the charred skin peeled off inch by inch. His new skin was as tender as a baby's, but it was stronger than before. If the strength of every lightning punishment was the same as this one, and 100 of them came consecutively, my physical body would probably improve to the next level. Ningqi laughed self-mockingly. It was a pity that there were only 4 divine Luo tribulations. The strength of the third would definitely be 3 to 4 times stronger than the second. It was probably the limit of what Ningqi's physical body could withstand. About 10 days passed, and the third lightning tribulation did not fall. Ningqi took advantage of this time to constantly adjust the state of his body, so that his body was always at its peak, so that he could better face the third lightning tribulation. If he was too heavily injured by this lightning tribulation, it was possible that the 4th lightning tribulation would fall. Therefore, Ningqi had to try his best to survive the 3rd lightning punishment so that he would be in the state to face the 4th lightning punishment. The once sacred land of the dragon race was now divided and occupied by a group of foreign races. As the demon race and the 3-eyed race had no interest in this place, they were actually afraid of the backing of the dragon race in the divine Luo world. Therefore, after the sacred land of the dragon race was destroyed, they did not send anyone to occupy this place. Therefore, it was divided up by the weaker foreign races. That was because of the rich spiritual chi in the sacred land of the dragon race. Today, an altar in the depths of the sacred land of the dragon race suddenly shone with golden light. This golden light gathered to form a mysterious pattern, instantly attracting the attention of a few foreign races nearby. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. A few figures tore through the air. Each of them was at the early stage Tao querying realm. At the same time, they were the leaders of the various foreign races nearby. What's going on? Could the dragon race have left behind an ultimate treasure? The few of them exchanged glances. Amidst their shock, there was a tinge of anticipation and joy. After a few minutes of waiting, the golden light on the altar finally gathered to form a human figure. This is... A hint of fear gradually appeared in the eyes of the early-stage Tao querying realm cultivators. The human figure formed by the golden light became clearer and clearer. When he completely materialized, a hair-raising aura instantly spread throughout the entire dragon clan's sacred ground. The few early-stage Tao querying realm cultivators who were the leaders were the first to feel this terrifying aura. They were so frightened that their faces turned pale. This is the dragon tribe? A middle-aged man who looked like a human but had a pair of dragon horns on his head looked indifferently at the few early-stage Tao querying realm cultivators around him. He frowned instinctively. He wore an incomparably bright red robe, giving off a somewhat evil feeling. You are. An early-stage Tao querying realm cultivator mustered up his courage and asked, "Me? What right do you have to know my name? Looks like some changes have taken place here. Who can tell me where did the dragon race go?" The middle-aged man's eyes gradually turned cold, and the pressure from his body became more and more terrifying. This must be a Saint Patriarch-level existence. The few of them guessed in shock. In reality, they did not know that their guess was too conservative. The person standing in front of them was a fourth-step dragon race cultivator. A few breaths later, an early-stage Tao querying cultivator nervously recounted everything that had happened in the dragon clan during this period of time. When he finished, he looked worriedly at the cultivator that he suspected to be from the dragon clan. From the way this person had appeared, his relationship with the dragon clan was definitely not simple. Now that the dragon clan's sacred ground was occupied by them, if the other party were to make a fuss about it, no one present would be spared. Annihilated by the human race? I didn't expect the human race of the god Luo mystic realm to rise in such a short time. A hint of contemplation flashed in the middle-aged man's eyes. Suddenly, he felt that something was amiss. What did you say that humans' mount looked like? The few of them had witnessed that great battle and had a deep impression of the fire Qilin. They simply used their spirit chi to reconstruct that scene. Qilin race. The middle-aged man's pupils constricted, as if he had seen something extremely dangerous. "Senior, we have told you everything we know. May we leave?" An early-stage Tao querying realm mustered up his courage and asked. "Yes." The middle-aged man nodded as he pondered. They were instantly overjoyed. Just as they turned to leave, they felt a destructive aura coming from behind them, causing their hair to stand on end. Before they could react or even turn around, these early-stage Tao querying realm cultivators were killed on the spot. When the foreign race cultivators who were watching from afar saw this, they turned around and fled without hesitation. However, they didn't even manage to take a few steps before they were killed. No matter what method they used to flee, it was useless. No matter what method they used to escape, it was useless. Occasionally, miserable cries could be heard from within the dragon clan's sacred ground. This process lasted for about 15 minutes before someone finally managed to escape from the dragon clan's sacred ground. Before they could rejoice, they instantly turned into skeletons and died with a look of unwillingness on their faces. The Qilin race and the human race descended into this world together. They must be plotting something. I'm alone now, so it's easy for me to fall into their ambush. I might as well go back and report this matter to the higher-ups and let them negotiate with the Qilin race. They destroyed the inheritance of the Dragon Clan's branch in the god Luo mystic realm. I have to explain. After the middle-aged man made his decision, he recalled the appearance of Ning Qi and the Fire Qilin. Then, he passed through the altar again and gradually turned into a beam of golden light, disappearing on the spot. He was still unwilling to admit that he was scared away by the Fire Qilin. Haha, I've cultivated for so many years and finally advanced to the perfected Tao querying realm. I think the old guys from the 3 sacred clans would never expect a junior like me to be ahead of them. Once I successfully transcend the tribulation, I'll be free to soar in the sky and swim in the ocean. A hoarse laugh sounded, causing Ning Qi, who was preparing to transcend the 3rd lightning tribulation, to be slightly stunned. There was someone in the god Luo mystic realm who had secretly cultivated to the perfected Tao querying realm? What was he doing here? Was he also transcending the tribulation? Ayu, this is the god Luo tribulation? How is that possible? Who are you? Why haven't I seen you before? An old man with sparse hair stared at Ning Qi and the dark clouds in the sky with his mouth agape. At the same time, a vortex appeared above his head. Can't you transcend the tribulation somewhere else? Ning Qi said, a little annoyed. He had originally thought that he would find a quiet place where no one would disturb him. In the end, 2 groups of people came after just 2 lightning tribulations. This old man was even more outrageous, bringing the lightning tribulation with him. Ning Qi was not sure if the power of the lightning tribulation would increase if the 2 of them transcended the tribulation together. If that was the case, he could only blame it on his bad luck. I didn't expect that after so many years of cultivation, the human race would produce such an incredible figure. The old guys from the 3 sacred clans would definitely not expect that the lightning tribulation is about to descend. I don't have time to look for other places, so I'll just do it here. The old man laughed strangely. His eyes seemed to be a little crazy. He looked very much like a madman who was determined to do something to the end. Just as he finished speaking, a lightning tribulation descended. The target was not Ning Qi, but the old man. The old man laughed loudly and went up to it. Boom! In an instant, the old man's physical body was reduced to ashes. There was a charred mark on the ground, proving that someone had faced the lightning tribulation here before. Chapter 33:19. Boom! The 3rd lightning bolt of the Shenluo tribulation landed on Ning Qi's body. The power of this lightning tribulation directly affected the surrounding mountains. Terrifying shockwaves swept out in all directions at a visible speed. Some wild beasts that couldn't escape in time were turned into ashes by this shockwave. Sizzle, 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 because he had turned into a bamboo pole, and his body was filled with terrifying wounds that could even see the bones. The flesh on these wounds was growing granulation at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a few days, Ning Qi's body finally recovered. However, this lightning tribulation didn't bring any benefits to his body. The power of the lightning tribulation had exceeded the limits that Ning Qi's body could withstand. His body's strength had decreased significantly, and he would need at least a few years to recover to his peak state. 6. I've already passed the first 3 lightning tribulations that I have to withstand with my body. Only the last Shenluo tribulation is left. As long as I pass this lightning tribulation, I should be able to take the 4th step and reach the Karma realm. Ning Qi took a deep breath and felt a little happy. Although Jiang Tianshu might be a rebirth realm expert, as long as he advanced to the Karma realm, the distance between Ning Qi and Jiang Tianshu would become closer. At the same time, he would have the means to protect himself in Shenluo world. According to the Fire Qilin, Karma Realm experts were already considered experts in Shenluo world. Large sects and aristocratic families were also the mainstays of the society. I wonder how little Hao Tian is doing in Shenluo world. Ning Qi's heart was filled with longing. Then, his eyes gradually became determined. He had to pass this lightning tribulation so that he could reunite with little Hao Tian with his family. The formation of the fourth lightning tribulation lasted for more than a month. Ning Qi used this month to recover his body's various functions. Although he wasn't at his peak state, he was much better than when he had just passed the third lightning tribulation. Countless golden lightning bolts flashed in the dark clouds in the sky. They were so dense that it looked like countless fish had gathered in the sea. The phenomenon became more and more exaggerated, and the aura became more and more terrifying. It even attracted the attention of cultivators who were extremely far away. However, when these cultivators sensed the terrifying aura within the dark clouds, they didn't even dare to come forward to check. 100,000 miles away, a few early-stage Tao querying realm existences arrived one after another. They had a tacit understanding and did not continue forward. Instead, they looked in the direction of Ning Qi's tribulation. The aura there is too terrifying. Even though I'm standing so far away, I can feel my hair standing on end. What happened? One of the outsiders suddenly asked. Perhaps the three sacred clans are plotting something. I sense a trace of the aura of the thunder tribulation. Perhaps some existence is undergoing the tribulation. Such an aura, only the legendary Shenluo tribulation would possess such might, right? I wonder which one of the three it is. In any case, it can't be that human. That human only took advantage of the cultivation of the mount, allowing humanity to ascend to the ranks of the saints. If you ask me, it might be the Golden Crow Monster Lord. Compared to him, the Northern Een Dragon Lord's cultivation might be a level lower. Should we go up and take a look? A foreign race cultivator who had just reached the initial stage of the Tao querying realm said instinctively. As soon as he finished speaking, the gazes of the others landed on him, a trace of mockery in their eyes. The foreign race cultivator seemed to realize that he had said something laughable. He laughed awkwardly and kept his mouth shut. Rumble, the voices in the dark clouds grew louder and louder. Gradually, the voices grew so loud that even the ground began to shake. Ning Qi's expression changed slightly. The next moment, the hell-suppressing immortal palace suddenly appeared behind the giant ape. Countless immortal palaces' power surged into Ning Qi's body. Ning Qi's aura continued to rise. With his current strength, he did not fear any cultivator at the great perfection of the Tao querying realm. Even if it was a karma realm existence, he might be able to use his physical body and the hell-suppressing immortal palace, which was far superior to others of the same level. Other than that, Ning Qi had not used his trump card, the Pangu Axe projection. He wanted to see how much stronger the fourth thunder tribulation would be compared to the third. At the same time, he was also afraid that the Pangu Axe projection, which was a fragment of a 7th grade Khanate spiritual treasure, would cause the thunder tribulation to change. Until the very last moment, Ning Qi did not intend to use it. Boom! There was a loud sound. Ning Qi's expression changed abruptly. He had intended to welcome the lightning tribulation, but he discovered that the dark clouds were slowly parting. Then, behind the layers of dark clouds, Ning Qi saw an incomparably huge eyeball. There was not the slightest hint of emotion in that eyeball. It just stared at Ning Qi with incomparable coldness. A chill grew in Ning Qi's body. What the hell was this? Why did the fourth thunder tribulation turn into an eyeball? This eyeball, was it the eye of an existence in the divine Luo world? Why did it appear here? Countless questions flashed through his mind. Ning Qi looked at the eyeball seriously and was prepared to swing the Pangu Axe projection at any time. Human, Tao-querying realm great perfection, you are allowed to undergo the thunder tribulation. Suddenly, an obscure voice sounded. Ning Qi had never heard such a language before, but he understood the meaning behind it. Allowed to undergo the thunder tribulation? What was going on? Without waiting for Ning Qi to think about it, the eyeball suddenly disappeared without a trace. Then, the dark clouds continued to swim, and the dense golden lightning instantly fell towards Ning Qi like tens of thousands of arrows. In this short period of time, the size of these golden lightning bolts increased countless times, and each one was equivalent to 1,000 bolts. Each bolt was equivalent to 3 divine Luo tribulations, and there were more than 10,000 of them. Damn it! I'm trying to kill someone! Ning Qi couldn't help but roar. His voice was filled with anger. Then, without hesitation, he took out the Pangu axe projection and leaped up with the hell-suppressing celestial palace. He waved the Pangu axe and faced the 10,000 thunder tribulation. Boom! The thunder tribulation was instantly slashed by the Pangu axe. It was indeed a power that could slash karma. However, 100 thunder tribulation was nothing to the current thunder tribulation sea. There were still countless thunder tribulation that fell on Ning Qi's body. At the same time, they also slashed on the hell-suppressing celestial palace. The power of the celestial palace attached to the surface of Ning Qi's body was directly smashed after being bombarded by hundreds of thunder tribulation. His body was instantly smashed into charcoal, and only the hell-suppressing celestial palace was in the thunder tribulation sea. It seemed to be with ease. Chapter 33:20. Under the cloudy sky, Ning Qi's charcoal-like body floated in front of the hell-suppressing celestial palace. At this moment, there was only a tiny trace of vitality left in his body. The golden Shunluo tribulation continued to fall like a storm. This scene seemed to have become an eternal picture that was imprinted on it. It was imprinted in the void. Wake up! In the sea of consciousness, the small gourd cried out in horror. If Ning Qi failed to pass the tribulation, everything would turn into ashes, and even the gourd would cease to exist. In the Laojun elixir furnace, the fire Kylan seemed to have noticed something and jumped out of it, but she couldn't help Ning Qi at this moment. All external forces would not only increase the power of the thunder retribution, but they would also tear her into pieces by the terrifying thunder retribution. It was just that during this period of time, she had been cultivating in the cauldron. She was also planning to break through to the great completion of the Tao-querying realm and become a fourth-step existence. She had not expected Ning Qi to take this step before her. Only when Ning Qi was on the brink of death did she sense it. His Shunluo tribulation this time is more than 20 times stronger than when he was in Shunluo realm. Could it be because of the uniqueness of Shunluo mystic realm? A hint of doubt flashed through the fire Qilin's eyes. What she didn't know was that even though the lightning tribulation in the god Luo mystic realm would cause the power of the lightning tribulation to be far stronger than in the god Luo world, the amplification would at most be 2 to 3 times. His vitality is getting weaker and weaker. There was a hint of hesitation in the fire Qilin's eyes. It seemed to be considering whether or not it should make a move and fight for its final chance. After all, if Ning Qi died, then she would die as well. But similarly, if she was killed by the divine heaven tribulation, then Ning Qi would die as well. The relationship between the two was that they were born together. Suddenly, a special aura surged out from Ning Qi's charcoal-like body, and the silver dragon tattoo that had already disappeared slowly condensed again. How can this fellow undergo the divine Luo tribulation outside of the divine Luo world? Even a rebirth state expert might not be able to withstand such a powerful lightning tribulation. No way. We have to think of a way. The silver dragon temporarily protected Ning Qi's body from being attacked by the lightning tribulation. However, with his current strength, there was no way he could last until all the lightning tribulation disappeared. He could only find another way to survive for Ning Qi and himself at the same time. The projection of the Pangu axe? The silver dragon's eyes suddenly fell on Ning Qi's right hand. The Pangu axe projection did not seem to be affected by the thunder tribulation, but because Ning Qi was currently in a coma, it could not exert its power at the moment. I didn't expect him to obtain the projection of Pangu's axe at the Dao querying realm. With this killing weapon, he might be able to carry out a stowaway. The silver dragon's eyes moved slightly, and then the projection of the Pangu axe seemed to sense that something was wrong and suddenly began to buzz and tremble. You're just a projection. Even if you disappear, you'll just return to your original body. This might not be a bad thing for you. The silver dragon smiled slightly, and with a sudden movement of his body, the Pangu axe projection was caught by his tail, and a special force was injected into the Pangu axe projection from the silver dragon's tail. Then, he threw the Pangu axe projection towards the dark clouds like a dart. The Pangu axe projection spun continuously, and in the process, it destroyed many more lightning tribulations. Then, it flew into the dark clouds, and rays of golden light emitted from its body. Finally, it exploded with a bang. The terrifying loud sound almost caused a few Dao querying realm cultivators, who were 100,000 miles away, to kneel. The terrifying aftermath swept in all directions, and the entire sky seemed to be dyed gold. After the Pangu axe projection exploded, a black hole that could only fit one person appeared behind the dark clouds. The black hole emitted an aura that was even more terrifying than the Shunluo tribulation. At this moment, the Shunluo tribulation seemed to be frozen in midair. Now, the silver dragon drilled into Ning Qi's charred body, and the hell-suppressing immortal palace was instantly taken back. Then, Ning Qi's unconscious body drilled into the black hole at lightning speed. In less than half a moment, the black hole immediately disappeared. Time seemed to have started to pass again, but the Shunluo tribulation produced a trace of confusion. Their target had disappeared. After a brief silence, the confused Shunluo tribulation gradually returned to the dark clouds. They seemed to tacitly agree that the person undergoing the tribulation had died, and were prepared to obey the rules and return to where they came from. But in less than 3 breaths of time, the gradually dissipating dark clouds suddenly condensed again. An eyeball. He reappeared in the center of the dark clouds. This time, there was a tinge of color in his eyes. It was anger, it was rage, it was rage, it was rage. It was as if a storm was about to take shape and was about to sweep the ocean in an instant. He actually dared to use a method to avoid the Shunluo tribulation and infiltrate the Shunluo world. And I've memorized your aura. I'll definitely find you. Before long, the dark clouds dissipated. A few days later, the early-stage Dao querying cultivators from 50,000 kilometers away finally dared to fly over, trembling. They saw the doomsday-like scene around them, as well as the lingering aura of the lightning tribulation. They looked at each other, and all of them saw the lightning tribulation in the sky. Fang's eyes were filled with doubt. Did the senior who was going through the tribulation succeed or fail? I'm still alive? Ning Qi suddenly woke up from his coma. When he felt the touch of his physical body, a question surged in his heart. Could it be that he had unintentionally passed the Shunluo tribulation that clearly wanted to kill him? Thinking to this point, he immediately checked his stats interface. In the end, he discovered that his level was still at the perfected Dao querying realm. It had not become the karma realm. I still failed. Ning Qi sighed in his heart. If he had successfully passed the lightning tribulation, he would have long been in existence at the karma realm. Since his level was still the same as before, there was only one possibility. He had failed the tribulation and had only survived by luck. This is good too. It's not a bad thing. If I'm more prepared next time, I might be able to pass the Shunluo tribulation. Thinking to this point, Ning Qi slowly opened his eyes. At the same time, his divine perception spread out like flowing water. Immediately after, his expression was slightly stunned, and his eyes were filled with astonishment. This was not where he had been before the tribulation. Instead, it was a stone house. Outside the stone house was a rather bustling street. On the street, there were many figures that were about 10 feet tall and seemed to be formed from huge green rocks. Most of these figures gave off the aura of golden immortal or imperial emperor realm. However, there were a few who were like Ning Qi, existences at the third step of the Tao querying realm. The word few was based on the number of figures that Ning Qi's divine perception could see. In reality, in a short period of time, there were already more than 10 existences at the early stage Tao querying realm to the late stage Tao querying realm walking past the stone house. Chapter 33:21. You're awake. A figure walked into the stone house. When he reached the door, Ning Qi noticed him. He took a look at his attribute. Boulder race, early stage Tao querying realm, Boulder Noah? Ning Qi's eyes flickered. Immediately after, he realized that he could understand the other party's language. It was as though he was born with it. After thinking about it, he realized that the other party's language had some sort of spiritual communication ability. In reality, he couldn't understand it at all. He just knew what it meant. You are. Ning Qi revealed a smile. Putting everything together, he might have been picked up by this person after he was severely injured. I'm Noah. The Boulder Noah grinned. Although his entire body was made of bluestone, the expression on his face was charming and not stiff at all. I saw you unconscious in the outskirts of the celestial mountain forest, so I brought you back. You seem to have suffered some kind of serious injury, but it only took a month for you to recover. I remember when I first saw you, I thought you were a withered branch that had been struck by lightning. Noah said with a simple and honest smile. Heaven Realm Mountain Forest. Ning Qi was slightly stunned. Immediately after, he asked calmly, May I know where this place is? This is the Boulder City near the Heaven Realm Mountain in Shenluo World. Boulder Noah was a little shocked. Human, did you lose your memory? Shenluo World. Hearing these 3 words, Ning Qi was a little shocked. He had successfully passed the tribulation? But why didn't his cultivation level increase? Immediately after, he focused on the 3 words despicable city. He was afraid that he had misunderstood, so he asked Boulder Noah to confirm it again. 10 minutes later, Ning Qi was drinking some fruit juice that Boulder Noah had concocted. At the same time, he looked at his current situation seriously. Despicable City was what the people in Shenluo World called this place. The people here wouldn't call themselves Despicable City, but the God-forsaken land. This place belonged to the Shenluo World, but it was different from the real Shenluo World. From the giant rock Noah's conversation, Ning Qi found out that the scum domain he was in was a prison shared by the tens of thousands of races in the Shenluo World. All those who had committed heinous and unforgivable crimes would be sentenced to death. You will be thrown in here. They would never have the chance to leave this place in their entire lives. Instead, they would occasionally be used as a training ground for the disciples of the various clans in the outside world. For example, Noah, the Boulder, had been living in the slums region since the time of his ancestors. He could be considered as a native of the slums region. You don't seem to know much about this place. You must have made a big mistake and been thrown in here, right? Don't worry, I'll send you to the human race's territory in the slums after I'm done with my work. Noah looked at Ning Qi with a pitiful expression before patting his chest and making a promise. Noah, how strong are the humans in the slums region? Ning Qi suddenly said. Giant Rock Noah did not doubt him. After all, people who came here for the first time usually did not understand the distribution of forces in the slums. The fleshly bodies of you humans are too weak. However, your path of cultivation is indeed unique. In the Heaven Realm Mountain, you can rank around the top 30, slightly higher than our Boulder clan. After all, there are more than 100 clans here. Noah the Giant Rock said. Then what's the strongest race here? What is the realm of their strongest expert? Ningqi asked the question he was most concerned about at the moment. The strongest race? It should be the Void Worm clan. If you see them, run immediately. These guys eat everything. However, there are only 4 void worms in the Heaven Realm Mountain, and each of them is at the rebirth state. Rebirth state? Isn't that similar to Jiang Tianshu? Furthermore, this was only the Heaven World Mountain in the slums region. Other than the 4 void worms, the other races might also have rebirth state existences. Based on what the gigantic rock Noah had said, how many such existences would there be in the boundless slums region? Could even the 5th step be? Ningqi did not show the shock in his heart. Instead, he nodded slightly and asked in a low voice, how many rebirth state experts are there in the human race? There are no rebirth state experts in the human race. Noah the Giant Rock said with a simple and honest smile. In the Heaven Realm Mountain, only the 4 void worms are rebirth state experts. The rest are at the heavenly mandate state. Is that so? Ningqi heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that there were not many rebirth state existences. Noah, get your ass out here right now. We lost 10 origin essence stones because of your sudden departure from the previous mission. I'm here to ask for compensation today. An angry roar came from outside. Then, someone banged on the door. The Boulder Noah immediately went to open the door. He saw 4 cultivators from the Boulder tribe standing outside. 3 of them had similar cultivation levels as Noah, but one of them was at the middle stage Dao Querying Realm. The one who had shouted was also at the middle stage Dao Querying Realm. Brother Carrie, I had something urgent to attend to previously. Sorry about that. Noah the Giant Rock said with a simple and honest smile. You can leave the team on your own just because you have something urgent to attend to? Carrie the Giant Rock looked at Noah the Giant Rock coldly. Then, he stretched out his hand. 10 origin essence stones. If you can't pay up, we'll meet in the arena. Noah the Giant Rock searched his body. Then, he opened his palm. There were 3 stones the size of a longan lying quietly on his palm. Star Soul Stones. Ningqi's eyes flickered. He had just woken up and he had already seen Star Soul Stones. However, the other party called them Origin Essence Stones. Could it be that they had a special method to use Star Soul Stones to replenish their Origin Essence? It seems like the Silver Dragon often talks about Origin Essence. Is this what the divine Luo world calls the Source? Ningqi pondered in his heart. 3. Carrie the Giant Rock's eyes flickered slightly. He snatched the Origin Essence stones from Noah's hand. Then, he said coldly, there are 7 more. Give them to me immediately. Brother Carrie, I only have 3. Why don't you come and get them after I take on another mission and earn more Origin Essence stones? Noah the Giant Rock said with a little difficulty. What an honest child. Ningqi smiled. He stood up and walked to the door. Only then did Carrie and the others notice Ningqi's presence. They looked at Ningqi with bewilderment. A human? Noah, you picked up a piece of dry wood from the ground previously. Could it be this human? Because of this human, you left the team on your own and caused us to fail the mission. That brown fellow snatched away the Origin Essence stones that should have belonged to us. Damn it. The anger on Carrie's face became even more intense. Dry wood? Ningqi laughed self-mockingly. For the other party to use such a term to describe him, it could be seen how severe his injuries were when he had just arrived at the divine Luo world. Chapter 33-22. You're telling me to scram? Gorilla Carrie looked at Ningqi in disbelief, thinking that there was something wrong with his ears and that he had heard wrongly. The 3 boulder race cultivators behind him looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. Does this human think that he's in their territory? Did you forget this is Monolith City? How dare you speak to Brother Klee like that? You really don't know what's good for you. Big Brother Klee, teach this human kid a lesson. Let him know the power of our Boulder clan. Don't act recklessly. Have you forgotten that the human race and our Boulder race are allies? Noah was slightly startled, and he hurriedly said, "Ha ha ha, I won't mess around. However, you picked up this human brat. Since his mouth isn't clean, you'll have to compensate me on his behalf. Plus 3 more Origin Essence Stones. Minus these 3, you owe me a total of 10 Origin Essence Stones. I want to see them tomorrow. Otherwise, don't even think about going to the Heaven Realm Mountain to do missions again. I'll keep an eye on you." Chris sneered and took a deep look at Ning-Chi before leaving with his 3 subordinates. Upon seeing this, Giant Rock Noah heaved a sigh of relief. Just as he turned around, he saw Ning-Chi's figure move slightly and disappear on the spot. "I said, leave the 3 Origin Essence Stones behind." A voice came from behind Noah. He quickly turned around and saw that Ning-Chi had already stopped Chris and the others. Human race cultivator, Gigantic Rock Kelly's father is the Deputy City Lord of Monolith City. He is in existence at the Tao Querying Realm. Don't you dare act recklessly. Noah sent a voice transmission to remind him. Perfected Tao Querying Realm? It seemed like the strongest in Monolith City should be at the Karma Realm, or even the great completion of the Tao Querying Realm. You human brat, you want my 3 Origin Essence Stones? Why? Anger surged in Klee's eyes. In the next moment, Ning-Chi retracted and released his aura. The aura of a perfected Tao Querying Realm cultivator scared Dwayne Rock and the other 3 so much that they broke out in cold sweat. "You are at the perfected Tao Querying Realm?" Gorilla Klee said in disbelief. He was clearly a severely injured human who had been picked up. How did he become a cultivator at the Tao Querying Great Perfection Realm? Even the Boulder Noah had a look of shock on his face, his eyes a bit vacant. He actually picked up an expert who broke through the locked Immortal Palace's gates and saw the Immortal Palace? Essence Stone. Ning-Chi said lightly. Yes, although Dagon Cray was unwilling, the cultivation aura that Ning-Chi had just revealed had truly intimidated him. He did not dare to become enemies with Ning-Chi over the 3 Origin Essence Stones. In the huge Monolith City, there were not more than 3 experts at the Tao Querying Realm. One of them was his father. However, his father had more than 100 sons. Even his closest son would be punished if he offended a cultivator at the perfected stage of the Tao-seeking realm for 3 Origin Essence Stones. After Boulder Klee put down the 3 Origin Essence Stones, he hurriedly left with his 3 lackeys. Ning-Chi smiled and returned to the stone house with Boulder Noah. Noah appeared to be quite excited, and he looked at Ning-Chi as if he wanted to say something. "My surname is Ning." Ning-Chi smiled. "Big Brother Ning, I didn't expect you to be a cultivator at the Great Circle of the Tao Querying Realm. Could it be that you were severely injured previously and a Karma Realm existence personally intervened?" Noah asked in a slightly excited and curious manner. From the way he spoke, Ning-Chi could tell that he was an idiot. He did not hide anything and smiled. "I appeared here unintentionally because I failed to pass the heavenly tribulation. You said that this is the slums region. Can people like me leave?" "Failed to pass the heavenly tribulation?" Noah was slightly stunned. Following which, he looked at Ning-Chi with even more respect. If he had succeeded in passing the heavenly tribulation, wouldn't this Big Brother Ning be a 4th-step cultivator? But after hesitating for a few breaths, he shook his head and said, "Big Brother Ning, there is only one entrance to the scum domain. I heard that the entrance is in an extremely flourishing city in the outside world. I think it is called the Lost City. I once heard from a few seniors that there are countless races in the Lost City. There are even many experts in the Rebirth Realm. If you want to enter the slums region, the Lost City will give you a token. With this token, you can come and go as you please. However, if you don't have the token, the existence guarding the entrance of the Lost City will not allow any living being in the slums region to leave. Ningqi nodded thoughtfully before shifting his gaze to the 3 origin essence stones. Noah's intelligence didn't seem to be very high. If it were someone else, perhaps Ningqi would have to think about how to ask about this common knowledge that many people knew, but since it was Noah, are the 3 origin essence stones in your hands the currency of the slums region? How do you measure their value? Ningqi smiled. Their value is very high. Regardless of whether it is the slums region or the outside world, they all use these origin essence stones to trade. 4th step cultivators can directly absorb the essence in the origin essence stones to increase and consolidate their own essence energy. This can increase the strength of the 4th tier of power. For example, these 3 origin essence stones of mine can be exchanged for many elixirs and various cultivation resources that Tao Querying Realm cultivators need. Noah the Boulder said with a smile. The 4th tier of power. Ningqi's eyes moved slightly. The Fire Qilin had once said that the immortal Qi belonged to the 1st tier of power, the Great Tao belonged to the 2nd tier of power, and the power of the Immortal Palace belonged to the 3rd tier of power. As for the 4th tier, it seemed like the power that a 4th step cultivator could mobilize was a level higher than the power of the Immortal Palace. There are still more than 4,500 cubic meters of star soul stones in my spatial bag. If I grind all of them into Longan-sized origin essence stones, 100 by 100, I can grind out 10,000 origin essence stones from one surface. According to the cubic volume, 1 million origin essence stones, a star soul stone, was the size of a 100 cm x 100 cm x 100 cm cube on Earth, so Ningqi could calculate his current net worth with just a thought. If all of them were calculated according to the Longan-sized standard, Ningqi should have about 4.5 billion origin essence stones. This might very well become Ningqi's true trump card in the divine Luo world. Wait, why is the aura of the Pangu Axe's projection gone? Ningqi was suddenly stunned. After a few breaths, Noah saw that Ningqi's expression was a little ugly and asked curiously, "Big brother Ning, what's wrong?" "It's nothing, I just lost something." The Pangu Axe's projection had indeed gone missing. It might have been destroyed by the thunder tribulation, or it might have been taken advantage of by someone. With the Pangu Axe's projection in his hand, Ningqi's battle prowess was on par with the Karma realm. However, in reality, it was only between the Tao Querying Great Perfection realm and the Karma realm. He had been able to defeat the Heavenly Demon Lord previously because the other party had completely underestimated Ningqi. Fortunately, the other things are still here. This was the only thing that was worth rejoicing over. Big brother Ning, when I picked you up, there was nothing beside you. Noah seemed to be afraid that Ningqi would misunderstand and hurriedly explained. Chapter 33:23. Purifying Spirit Flower? What's that? Giant Rock Noah was slightly startled. Can it be eaten? Seeing this, Ningqi instantly understood that Giant Rock Noah did not know about the Purifying Spirit Flower. He was slightly worried. If there was no Purifying Spirit Flower in the slums region, he would have to leave the slums region as soon as possible. However, even those rebirth state experts were obediently staying in the slums region. It was extremely difficult to leave this place using ordinary methods. I hope I can find the Purifying Spirit Flower here, Ningqi thought to himself. As long as Wang Shui regained her consciousness, he could slowly figure out how to leave this place. Noah, do you know where to go to buy some spiritual materials for refining pills? Or is there a large market in Monolith City for cultivators to trade? Ningqi asked. Giant Rock Noah nodded. Yes, there is a black market in the north of Monolith City. There are many things there. If Brother Ning wants to buy purifying spirit flower, you might be able to buy it there. Black market? As Ning Chi followed Giant Rock Noah to the north of Monolith City, he secretly gathered information about Shen Luo World and the slums region. Although Giant Rock Noah did not know much, and some of the information might even be wrong, it was enough for Ning Chi. There were 3 types of markets in the slums region. They were the pill market, the martial market, and the black market. The pill market only sold various kinds of pills, and they also bought all kinds of pills. There was a high chance of finding those rare divine pills. The martial market, as the name suggested, was everything related to cultivation techniques, treasures, etc. As for the black market, it was like a combination of the pill market and the martial market. Basically, all kinds of things could be bought there. However, the only thing to consider was whether those things came from a legitimate source. 9 out of 10 things were stolen from others, and it was a good place for cultivators to dispose of their stolen goods. It is said that these rules came from the outside world. I really want to see how prosperous the big markets in the outside world are. Giant Rock Noah's eyes revealed a trace of longing. There were few cultivation resources in the slums region, and the land was barren. Most of the untouchables, who were born and raised in the slums region, like Dwayne Rock Noah, wanted to leave the slums region. Dwayne Rock Noah was no exception. His parents had already passed away, and they had told him every day since he was a child that if he had the chance to leave the slums region, he must not hesitate. Only in the outside world would he have the chance to break through to a higher realm. For example, the 5th step. The 5th step? Why was it that no one in the slums could break through to the 5th step? The highest realm is the rebirth state. Ning Chi transmitted his voice. Big Brother Ning, I'm not too sure. Giant Rock Noah scratched the back of his head and said in embarrassment. He paused for a moment before pointing into the distance and smiled. Big Brother Ning, we've arrived at the black market. Ning Chi knew that he would not be able to get these secrets out of the Giant Rock Noah, so he cast his gaze towards the black market in the distance. It was an area formed by a few crisscrossing streets. Ning Chi realized that the cultivators walking there had a hint of more ruthlessness than ordinary cultivators. Let's go. Ning Chi sized up the blackboard mildly before walking over with the huge rock Noah. He was not afraid of anyone in terms of viciousness. Moreover, with his cultivation level at the great circle of the Tao querying realm, he was not afraid of anyone in the blackboard. If anyone was foolish enough to target him, Ning Chi would not mind taking them away. His blood in the divine Luo world's scum region. Noah, why have you come to the black market? What can you buy in the black market with that little net worth of yours? Are you planning to take on a few assassination missions here? A middle-aged cultivator from the Boulder clan who seemed to be very familiar with the Giant Rock Noah walked over with a smile. His eyes scanned Ning Chi from head to toe, seemingly unintentionally. Uncle Blue, I'm here to accompany Big Brother Ning. Big Brother Ning wants to buy something. Giant Rock Noah spoke without any reservations. However, he seemed to have a reaction towards the end. He looked at Ning Chi with a sheepish smile and swallowed the words purifying spirit flower. He was not sure if Ning Chi needed to keep the purifying spirit flower a secret. However, he suddenly remembered what his parents had told him when he was young: talk less and do more. Big Brother Ning? You're a human cultivator, right? It's rare to see human cultivators in Boulder City. I'm the local boss of the black market. What do you want to buy? Why don't you tell me? I'll help you find it. Blue chuckled as he looked at Ning Chi. His eyes were flickering. There's no need. I'm just here to take a look. Ning Chi rejected him indifferently and was about to leave with the Giant Rock Noah. Blue hurriedly took a step forward. Human cultivator, Noah isn't very smart. If you follow him, you'll get into trouble easily. You should know what kind of place the black market is. Which one of the people here doesn't have hands stained with blood? Which one of them isn't extremely cautious? If you don't have a familiar person to guide you, they'll definitely sell it to you. I will definitely sell it to you, and I only need to take 3% of the transaction as commission. Even though Noah was said to be stupid, he did not seem angry. Instead, he scratched his head in a simple and honest manner. There's no need. Ningqi looked at Blue with a smile. There was still a trace of politeness left on his face. As long as the other party continued to pester him, Ningqi did not mind threatening him. As if he could see the impatience on Ningqi's face, Blue nodded with a fake smile. Then I wish you good luck. I hope you'll be able to find what you want in the black market. After saying that, he ignored Noah and turned to leave. Big brother Ning, Uncle Blue used to be my father's friend. He's quite famous in the black market. If you want to buy that item, perhaps he'll be a good choice. Giant Rock, Noah said softly after Brew left. Let's wait and see. Which merchant group is more famous in the black market? It'd be best if they specialize in selling spiritual herbs. Ningqi smiled. As for the merchant group, Noah's gaze landed on a black building that was more than 30 meters tall. That's the merchant group opened by the Monolith City's city lord. It's called the Black Rock Merchant Group. It's the most powerful merchant group in the black market. Why don't we go there and take a look? Let's go. Ningqi's eyes flickered. If the Monolith City had the purifying spirit flower, it would most likely be in the Black Rock Merchant Group. Even if they could not buy it, they might be able to buy information about the purifying spirit flower. The Black Rock Merchant Group's business was good. There were people coming in and out constantly. Among them, there were foreign race cultivators that did not belong to the Monolith tribe. Ningqi even saw 1 or 2 human race cultivators like him. Their cultivation levels were not high, around the middle stage of the Dao querying realm. Seems like in the slums region, early and middle stage Dao querying realm cultivators are the most common. Late stage is rare. I haven't seen any perfected ones yet, Ningqi thought to himself. Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of him. Chapter 33-24. I'm going to concoct a type of medicinal pill, and I'm lacking a catalyst. I wonder if you have it here? Ningqi nodded lightly. As long as it exists in the forsaken land of the gods, our Black Rock Merchant Guild will also have it. Do you have purifying spirit flowers? Of course. What is the purifying spirit flower? The voice of the staff member from the Black Rock Merchant Association came to a sudden halt. A faint blush actually appeared on his face, which was as sharp as a green stone. He looked at Ningqi in shame and said, I'm sorry, I know too little and don't know what the purifying spirit flower is. However, my Black Rock Chamber of Commerce should have it. Please follow me to see Master Enlai. Master Enlai is our Black Rock Chamber of Commerce's treasure appraisal expert. He knows everything in the universe. As he spoke, he started to boast out of habit. In his eyes, the Black Lava Trade Union was indeed omnipotent. Soon, Ningqi and Noah followed the staff member up to the 3rd floor. In the process, he introduced himself as Boulder Voodoo. He had worked in the Black Rock Merchant Guild for many years, starting from the lowest level of servant. Now that he had broken through to the early stage of the Dao querying realm, he finally had the right to work in the Black Rock Merchant Guild. The reception hall received guests. There were already many cultivators on the 3rd floor waiting for Grandmaster Enlai's audience. They were either here to buy items or to sell items. They all had to be appraised by Grandmaster Enlai. 2 esteemed guests, please wait here for a moment. Master Enlai's appraisal speed is very fast. It won't be long before it's your turn. Believe me, that net. Whatever flower will definitely have it. Boulder Voodoo Poison whispered. The confidentiality rules of the Black Rock Merchant Guild forbade the staff from selling their customers information, Okay, thank you. Ning Qi smiled and nodded. After such a long time, this bit of waiting time was really nothing to Ning Qi. Almost in a trance, it was his turn. Noah did not follow him in. Ning Qi entered the room alone. Are you here to appraise something? Master Onlai glanced at Ning Qi indifferently. Like Noah, he was also a cultivator of the Boulder clan. However, there were many wrinkles on his bluestone skin. It was obvious that he was much older than Noah. No, I'm here to purchase a spirit material for alchemy. It's called the purifying spirit flower. The staff member who received me didn't know what it was. I wonder if Grandmaster Enlai has seen it before? Does the Black Lava Merchant Guild have any purifying spirit flowers in stock? Ning Qi went straight to the point. Purifying spirit flower? Master Onlai frowned slightly and looked Ning Qi up and down. This flower is extremely beneficial to the soul. Outside of the forsaken land of the gods, it's considered a rare spiritual material. I've never heard of anyone obtaining a purifying spirit flower in the forsaken land of the gods. However, if you can afford it, give me a deposit first. Perhaps I can get someone to bring you a purifying spirit flower. Ning Qi's eyes flickered. Grandmaster Enlai is in contact with people from the outside world? This is not something you should know. I have my own channels. Grandmaster Onlai said lightly. Oh, I understand. I'll take my leave. Ning Qi smiled and nodded, then turned to leave. 1 step, 2 steps. Just as Ning Qi was about to leave the house, Grandmaster Enlai spoke again. Didn't you want to buy a purifying spirit flower? Why are you leaving? Ning Qi paused and turned to look at Grandmaster Enlai. I'm afraid that my deposit will go down the drain. Hee hee. Grandmaster Enlai narrowed his eyes and looked at Ning Qi for a while. Suddenly, he let out a soft laugh. He did not get angry. Instead, he nodded slightly. It's normal for you to be worried. How about this? Tell me how many standard origin stones you can offer to buy a purifying spirit flower. If there's a profit, I'll take the risk of the deposit. You can come back to trade when the purifying spirit flower arrives. I think it's better if Grandmaster offers a price. Ning Qi said lightly. 1 million origin stones, no bargaining. Grandmaster Enlai thought for a while and said. As if afraid that Ning Qi would find the price too high, he paused and explained, of the 1 million origin stones, 700,000 will be spent on the channels. If you think it's too expensive, then we won't do this deal. 1 million origin stones? That was equivalent to a star soul stone. To Ning Qi's current net worth, it was just a drop in the bucket. To be able to use this price to recover Wang Shui's consciousness and even let her become a ghost immortal comparable to the Tao querying realm, it was worth it no matter how one looked at it. However, an early-stage Tao querying realm cultivator like Giant Rock Noah was still worried about a few dozens of origin stones. One could imagine how valuable the origin stones were. 1 million origin stones was probably equivalent to the entire wealth of an ordinary perfected Tao querying realm cultivator. If Ning Qi agreed to it, it would be indirectly telling others that he was worth a lot and that they should come and snatch it. If he was targeted by a fourth-step existence, it would be very troublesome. 1 million origin stones. Can't it be cheaper? Ning Qi said with a serious expression. No. Grandmaster Enlai laughed softly and shook his head lightly. He seemed to be extremely happy to see Ning Qi so worried about the origin stones. I might not have enough origin stones on hand, but I will try my best to gather 1 million. As long as the Black Rock Trade Union can take out the purifying spirit flower, 1 million it is. Ning Qi gritted his teeth. All right, I believe that as a cultivator at the perfected Tao querying realm, you will not go back on your words. However, you should at least write a written agreement in case there are any changes in the future and the transaction cannot be completed. We will take this agreement and go to the human race's territory to look for your fourth-step cultivators. Grandmaster Enlai smiled. After a while, Ning Qi left the house with an ugly expression. Grandmaster Enlai looked at Ning Qi's back as he disappeared at the door and suddenly laughed softly. Another cultivator at the perfected Tao querying realm. 1,000,000 origin stones. He will be busy for a while, right? I might be able to take 30 to 50,000 origin stones from this transaction. Not bad, not bad. Grandmaster Enlai's eyes shone with greed. He was like a miser as he started to calculate the benefits he would gain from this transaction. As for whether Ning Qi would break the contract unilaterally, he was not worried at all. With the power of the Black Rock Trade Union, as long as he brought the agreement to the human race's fourth-step cultivators, the human race would pinch their noses and continue to complete this transaction. Otherwise, the reputation of the human race would be tarnished. How is it? The boulder voodoo poison had not left and was guarding the door. When he saw Ning Qi, he immediately asked in anticipation. Grandmaster Enlai indeed knows. Ning Qi smiled and nodded. Chapter 33-25. After leaving the Black Rock Chamber of Commerce, Ning Qi and Noah strolled around the black market for a while. During this period of time, they saw many first-grade innate spiritual treasures. However, most of them were damaged. A few complete and flawless ones were sold at extremely high prices, ranging from 5 to 10,000 origin essence stones. Every time Noah saw these connate numinous treasures, he would salivate like a child who had seen a candied haw. Then, when the connate numinous treasure was bought by someone, Noah's eyes would be filled with envy. He would stare at the person until they disappeared around the corner. From this, it could be seen that even in the Shenlua world, connate spiritual treasures were not commonly seen, and they should be even rarer in the slums region. Most of the Tao querying realm cultivators used low-grade treasures. In fact, many cultivators did not even use treasures at all. As such, those Tao querying realm cultivators with strong backgrounds would far surpass ordinary Tao querying realm cultivators in terms of battle power. However, compared to the celestial world, Shenlua world definitely had a lot more Xiantian spiritual treasures. After all, Shenlua world was much stronger than the celestial world, and its Xiantian foundation wasn't something the celestial world could compare to. Wait, I think I found a way to get rich. Just as Ning Qi was feeling emotional, a thought suddenly popped up in his mind. Back then, the system had intended to buy back the Thunderball, a first-grade connate spiritual treasure that Ning Qi had obtained from the Thunder Lizard clan. The price had been 2.5 billion merit points, but Ning Qi had felt that the system was too much of a scam, so he had never sold it and kept it in his space bag. However, first-grade connate spiritual treasures from black market only cost 5 to 10,000 merit points. The origin essence stone on the right, in other words, a square of star soul stone could buy 100 or even 200 first-grade primordial spiritual treasures. If he sold them to the system, Ning Qi would become rich in a short period of time, even if each one was worth 2 billion merit points. The price he needed to pay was just a square of star soul stone. When the time comes, I'll use these merit points to purchase the Immortal Palace Pill. Given its uniqueness, its price will definitely far surpass the first-grade innate spirit treasures of the slums. A hint of a smile appeared in Ning Qi's eyes when he thought of this. He quietly sized up the stalls around him before leaving the black market with Noah. Ning Qi had already promised Great Master Enlai to purchase the purifying spirit flower. During this period of time, he did not plan to cause any unnecessary trouble. He did not want the Black Lava Merchant Guild to know that he was wealthy and raise the price, or even secretly plot against him. In the stone house, I'm going to recover my cultivation for the time being. If there's nothing particularly important, don't disturb me. Ning Qi said to Rock Noah. Noah nodded honestly. Only when he left the stone house did he suddenly realize that if he didn't disturb Ning Qi, where would he live? Forget it. I'll take on another mission and make a trip to Heaven World Mountain. Once I've saved enough money, I'll buy an incomplete first-grade Khanate spiritual treasure. That way, I'll be able to hold my own against a mid-stage Tao querying realm cultivator. Noah thought to himself and cheered himself on. He chuckled as he walked towards another ordinary market in Monolith City. There were many early-stage Tao querying realm missions in that market, and the rewards were not too low. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Ning Qi had left the stone house twice during this time, and both times, he had gone to the black market to inquire about the progress of the purifying spirit flower. Anlai had told Ning Qi not to worry, it would take at least 3 years for the purifying spirit flower to arrive at Monolith City. Once the flower arrived, the boulder voodoo poison would inform Ning Qi. Ning Qi had also secretly checked the number of Khanate spiritual treasures in the black market. He had not expected a third-grade Khanate spiritual treasure to appear in the Black Rock Trade Union every few decades, and they were all bought by fourth-step cultivators from other races. This was because cultivators at the perfected Tao querying realm could not afford such a price. Besides the third-grade Khanate spiritual treasures that only appeared once every few decades, a few second-grade Khanate spiritual treasures would also appear every 10 days to half a month. Most of them were in the hands of the Black Rock Trade Union, and a few were sold privately by certain cultivators. The origins of the Khanate spiritual treasures were definitely not legitimate. Ning Qi did not care about these Khanate spiritual treasures. The immortal slaying gourd was a third-grade one, but it had not recovered its full strength. Ordinary third-grade Khanate spiritual treasures could not increase Ning Qi's combat strength by much, and there were not enough of them. Instead, Ning Qi observed the first-grade Khanate spiritual treasures a few times and found that there were 4 of them in the black market. There were 50 of them, which was enough for Ning Qi to earn a huge sum of merit points. 1 year later, Ning Qi walked out of Noah's stone house, and a glint flashed in his eyes. Then, it gradually disappeared. His cultivation had already recovered to its peak, but for some reason, he did not feel like he could trigger the thunder tribulation at any time. This made Ning Qi think of the rumors he had occasionally heard over the past year. It was rumored that in the forsaken land of the gods, which was also the slums region, it was extremely difficult to advance from the 3rd step to the 4th step. In the records, no one had ever taken this step. Back then, Noah seemed to have mentioned it casually. Ning Qi could not help but think of the huge eyeball that he had seen during his tribulation in the god Luo mystic realm. At that time, the eyeball said that it was allowed to undergo tribulation. Could it be that I have to obtain its permission to undergo tribulation? What kind of existence is it? Is it similar to the will of the heavenly Tao? Thinking of this, Ning Qi communicated with the Fire Qilin with his divine will and expressed all his doubts. The Fire Qilin was the spirit of the mystic realm, and it had its own inherited memories. There was a high chance that it would know about this. In my memory, there is no information about this. Perhaps it is not very important. You can ask the local cultivators. The Fire Qilin's divine will surged. Understood. Ning Qi nodded slightly. He had just taken a few steps in the direction of the black market when he saw a familiar person approaching him. Blue Boulder, a friend of Noah's deceased parents, the local tyrant of the black market, and a cultivator at the intermediate stage of the Tao querying realm. Aren't you? Blue Boulder was slightly stunned when he saw Ning Qi. Then, he looked at the stone house behind him suspiciously. You have been living with Noah? Where's Noah? He has gone on a mission. Ning Qi nodded lightly. After a pause, he continued, I have a few questions to ask you. How much are you charging? Blue Boulder's eyes lit up. What do you want to know? I know everything about the Monolith City. You are right to ask me. As for the price, since you are Noah's friend, I will give you a discount. How about 1 origin essence stone for each question? Goodbye. Ning Qi waved his hand and was about to leave. Wait, how about this? As long as you do not ask more than 3 questions, I will only charge you 1 origin essence stone. This is already the lowest price. If you ask someone else and get the wrong answer, you might suffer a greater loss. Chapter 33:26. 1 origin essence stone for 3 questions? Ning Qi looked at Boulder Brew with a faint smile. That's a very low price. Boulder Brew felt a little guilty. However, in the next moment, he saw Ning Qi nod and agree with a smile. Boulder Brew heaved a sigh of relief, and his smile became extremely bright. Let's go. There's a restaurant not far away. The grilled sky river python meat there is very delicious. There's also delicious Heaven Realm mountain wine. My treat. Boulder Brew said generously. Compared to the origin essence stone that he was going to earn, the delicacies that could be bought with ordinary origin essence stones were naturally nothing. Not long later, the two of them came to the restaurant and sat down. After the Sky River python meat and Heaven Realm mountain wine were served, Boulder Brew ate heartily while urging Ning Qi to ask questions. First question, what is the cultivation level of the Monolith City Lord? Ning Qi said calmly. Boulder Brew was slightly stunned, and then he was overjoyed. What kind of question was this? It was very simple for him. The Monolith City Lord is the clan leader of our Monolith tribe. He's at the early stage of the causality realm and is a famous 4th step cultivator. Who doesn't know about him in the Heaven Realm mountain? Boulder Brew said proudly as if he was the Monolith City Lord himself. Ning Qi nodded and then smiled. Is the City Lord born and raised in Monolith City? Not really. The City Lord made a huge mistake in the outside world 3,000 years ago and was sent to the forsaken land of the gods. Boulder Brew was stunned and said, he really came from the outside world? Ning Qi thought to himself and then asked the last question. I heard that in the forsaken land of the gods, it's very difficult for cultivators at the peak of the Tao-seeking state to reach the 4th step. Is this true? You've asked the right person. Ordinary people really don't know about this. You didn't spend a single origin essence stone for nothing. Boulder Brew perked up and said eloquently, do you know that there's a Supreme Saint Council in the outside world? Anyone who wanted to advance from the 3rd step to the 4th step had to go through the Supreme Sacred Council before they were allowed to undergo the tribulation transcendence. The forsaken land of the gods had existed for many years. Apart from this, ordinary people don't know that the cultivators in the forsaken land of the gods are unable to advance from the 3rd step to the 4th step because the Supreme Saint Assembly doesn't allow it. They don't even have the right to transcend the lightning tribulation, so how can they advance? The Holy Assembly? It seemed like the owner of that eyeball was someone from the Holy Assembly? What kind of strength did he have? Step 5? Ning Qi was a little surprised, but he didn't show it on his face. The 3 questions are over. What do you think? Boulder Blue put down the Sky River python meat in his hand and looked at Ning Qi with a smile. Ning Qi gently waved his hand, and an origin essence stone appeared on the table. This origin essence stone was very standard. It had been cut according to the specifications, not a bit more, not a bit less. Boulder Blue immediately reached out and grabbed it. After examining it, he nodded in satisfaction. Your origin essence stone is of excellent quality. There are few impurities, and the quantity is sufficient. I heard that you humans keep your promises. It's true. Who is formed by the Supreme Saint Assembly? How high are the cultivation levels of the people in it? Ning Qi asked nonchalantly. This is the 4th question. Logically speaking, you have to add another half an origin essence stone before I can answer you, Boulder Blue said with a smile. But another origin essence stone appeared on the table. Ning Qi looked at Boulder Blue calmly. Speak. I'm not sure who exactly is formed by the Supreme Saint Assembly, but there are rumors that the people in the Supreme Saint Assembly are all. Boulder Blue lowered his voice, and his expression became nervous. Someone at the seventh step? Ning Qi was slightly shocked. He was only at the third step now, but he already felt that his means were extraordinary. If it was at the seventh step, it was no wonder that he could control everyone's lightning tribulation. He was probably equivalent to the heavenly Tao in the divine Luo world, right? Was there really someone in this world who had reached such a level? At this level, he might really be able to destroy a universe, Ning Qi sighed in his heart. Does no one know or have been to the Supreme Saint Assembly? Ning Qi asked. Who could have been to the Supreme Saint Assembly? Boulder Blue shook his head in amusement, and there was a hint of mockery in his eyes. Suddenly, his expression froze. Perhaps someone at the sixth step is qualified to do so. If you have the chance, you can ask someone like that. He would definitely know more than me. Alright, this is the fifth question. You have one last question. If you still want to ask after that, give me another Origin Essence Stone. Boulder Blue said with a smile. No more questions. Go ahead and eat. I'll make a move first. Ning Qi smiled faintly, got up and left. He already knew the general situation. As for whether the information in Boulder Blue's words was accurate or not, he would slowly verify it in the future. Stupid people are really rich. I earned 2 Origin Essence Stones with just a few questions. This is the first time I feel that Origin Essence Stones are so easy to earn. Boulder Blue looked at Ning Qi's back, and his eyes gradually became greedy. Black market. Ning Qi walked out of the Black Rock Trade Association and asked Enlai about the progress of the Clean Spirit Flower. At the same time, he made Enlai think that he was working hard to earn Origin Essence Stones. After completing the disguise, Ning Qi began to stroll around the black market to confirm the number of Grade 1 primordial spiritual treasures. Ning Qi was deep in thought as he walked. With his current cultivation, he could undergo the heavenly tribulation at any time. However, because he was in the forsaken land of the gods, the Supreme Saint Assembly did not care about this place, so he could not undergo the heavenly tribulation. I have to find a way to leave this wretched region as soon as possible, Ning Qi thought in his heart. When the purifying spirit flower arrived and Wang Shui's matter was settled, his next step would be to find a way to leave the slums region. Moreover, he already had some clues. Perhaps at that time, Master Enlai would be able to help a little. The next day, Ning Qi was in seclusion in the stone house. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. Ning Qi moved his mind and the door opened automatically. It's good that you're still here. Come with me quickly. Boulder Blue looked at Ning Qi anxiously. Without a word, he went forward to pull Ning Qi's arm. What's the matter? Ning Qi frowned, dodged Boulder Blue's palm calmly, and said faintly. Something happened to Noah. More than a year ago, he accepted a mission to Heaven Realm Mountain to collect void mushrooms. In the end, he accidentally offended Boulder Klee. He is the son of our Monolith City's deputy city lord. Now, he has imprisoned Noah at the foot of Heaven Realm Mountain. He wants us to bring Origin Essence Stones to ransom him. If we don't hurry, Noah is going to be killed. His father only has one son. If Noah dies, his family line will be cut off. Boulder Blue said quickly. Chapter 33:27. After leaving Boulder City, Boulder Blue took Ning Qi to the Heavenly Mountain. After flying for 3 days, they were already very far away from Boulder City. Along the way, Ning Qi saw some species that were similar to demonic beasts. These species had higher cultivation than the demonic beasts in the immortal world, but they had low intelligence. Little brother, are you curious about these star demons? Could it be that most of the star demons outside are dead? That's right. These things that sneaked into our god Lua world from the faraway galaxy might have decent strength, but they have no brains. Ha! Previously, I tried to kill a coup with a few good friends. We only used 3 days to kill a late-stage Dao-querying star demon, and not a single person died. Boulder Blue spoke eloquently. Sneaked in from the faraway galaxy? Ning Chi's eyes flashed with self-mockery. He was considered a sneak-in too, right? He failed the tribulation and came to God Lua world, even though it was the forsaken land of the gods. Sigh, I wonder how Noah is doing. If something happens to him, how will I face my brother after I die? Boulder Brew suddenly released a long sigh. The two of them had arrived at a mountain range. There were extremely steep peaks on both sides of the mountain range, blocking out the sunlight and making the passageway in the middle appear dark. It gave off the feeling that a ferocious beast had opened its mouth and was ready to devour someone at any moment. As he spoke, Boulder Blue seemed to be secretly observing Ning Chi's expression. Ning Chi saw all this and sneered in his heart, but he did not expose him. How much longer until we reach Heaven World Mountain? Ning Chi said indifferently. Soon, soon. Boulder Blue smiled. His speed became slower and slower, as though he was waiting for something. Finally, Boulder Blue's figure suddenly paused. Then, he transformed into a bolt of lightning and flew to the left. Instantly, he was dozens of zhang away from Ning Chi. Immediately after, 4 figures shot out from the steep peaks on both sides. Together with Boulder Blue, they formed an encirclement around Ning Chi. Kakik Blue, is this the human race fat sheep you mentioned? Looking at him, does he really have origin essence stones on him? Boss Blue has always been a good judge of character. If he says he is a fat sheep, then he is definitely a fat sheep. Moreover, this fat sheep seems to have just been thrown in from the outside world. Perhaps other than essence stones, he has something that our forsaken land of the gods doesn't have. Nonsense, how could I let you guys come here for nothing? Boulder Blue laughed loudly. The smile on his face was one of complacency. What do you mean? Ning Chi looked at Boulder Blue indifferently and said. The 4 people who had suddenly appeared were also cultivators of the Boulder tribe. Ning Chi had already discovered them from 10,000 li away. Their cultivation levels were similar to Dwayne Brew's. They were all middle-stage Dao-querying cultivators. What do I mean? Ha ha, do you still not understand what I mean? No wonder Noah picked you up. You're just as stupid as him. Boulder Blue laughed complacently. Hand over all your origin essence stones. For the sake of Noah, I'll spare your life today. Oh, then you've been lying to me from the beginning, haven't you? Ning Chi said lightly. Of course. Boulder Blue looked at Ning Chi mockingly. From the first time he met Ning Chi in the black market, he had found Ning Chi an eyesore. Later, Ning Chi had used 2 essence stones to ask him 5 questions. From that day onwards, he knew that Ning Chi was a fat sheep. I say, Blue, let's not waste time talking to him. Let's just kill him and search his body. Ha ha, it's been a long time since we've moved out together like this. I remember the last time we surrounded that late-stage Dao-querying realm star demon. How many years has it been? More than 50 years, I guess. So much time has passed unknowingly. The 4 cultivators of the Boulder tribe, who had appeared later, suddenly sighed emotionally. Clearly, something extraordinary had happened between them in the past few decades. If you like to sigh, I can let you stay here for a long time. You can sigh as long as you want. Ning Chi's voice suddenly rang out, interrupting the 4 emotional cultivators of the Boulder tribe. They looked at each other in surprise, then turned to Ning Chi in unison. What did you say? As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere suddenly became very quiet. One could even say it was dead silent. The only sound left was the breathing of Boulder Blue and the 4 cultivators of the Boulder tribe. Their breathing became more and more rapid, reflecting the current state of mind of the 5 of them. In their eyes, Ning Chi was still the same Ning Chi. The expression on his face was very calm from beginning to end. The only difference was that behind Ning Chi, there was a terrifyingly huge immortal palace. It was faintly visible in the eyes of the crowd. Immortal palace? Great attainment of the Tao querying realm? Boulder Blue was dumbfounded. Damn it, Blue said that this person was a fat sheep? He's clearly a soul gatherer. The 5 of us combined are not even as heavy as a leg hair of a cultivator at the great attainment of the Tao querying realm. It's over. I've just returned. Senior, we were wrong. We shouldn't have been blinded by greed. Please forgive us, Senior. One of the cultivators of the Boulder tribe knelt down decisively. At the same time, he raised his yin and yang ring above his head with both hands. Didn't you want to sigh? All of you, stay here. As Ning Qi spoke casually, the power of the immortal palace entered the bodies of the 4 cultivators of the Boulder tribe with a boom. The 4 cultivators at the intermediate stage of the Tao querying realm did not even have the ability to fight back. They turned into ashes right before Boulder Blue's eyes. Boulder Blue was so scared that his lower body turned cold. A bright yellow substance shot out. After all, he was a cultivator at the intermediate stage of the Tao querying realm and was different from ordinary people. Even though he was wearing pants, Ning Qi could still see the water column falling towards the mountain stream. What's wrong? Ning Qi's eyes were filled with mockery as he smiled. Don't kill me. For Noah's sake, I'm his father's good brother. Boulder Blue begged for mercy repeatedly. At the same time, he was cursing Noah in his heart. Noah knew that the human cultivator he had picked up was at the great attainment of the Tao querying realm, but he didn't say anything? In reality, Boulder Blue had misunderstood Noah. It was not that he didn't want to tell Noah, but that he didn't care about this at all. Ning Qi smiled. The mockery in his eyes was replaced by a faint killing intent. Boulder Blue felt his hair stand on end. It was as though he was going to die at any moment. In his shock, he quickly screamed, "Don't kill me. I'm not lying to you. Noah is really in danger." Oh? Chapter 33:28. Boulder Blue's body trembled as he slowly explained the situation. It turned out that because he had been mingling in the black market for many years, he knew quite a number of people. Often, there would be people who brought back some news from the Heaven Realm Mountain. Just a few days ago, someone told Boulder Blue that Noah was here. The Heaven Realm Mountain had offended a few humans. The few humans were from Hunyuan sect. One of them was at the late-stage Tao querying realm, and was considered a core member of Hunyuan sect. After Noah offended them, he was forced to be the bait to attract the star demon corrosive giant crocodile that the humans wanted to kill. The weakest of the corrosive giant crocodiles were at the late Tao querying realm. Adult corrosive giant crocodiles were at the great circle of the Tao querying realm. However, because the star demons did not know how to cultivate and had low intelligence, they had the power of immortal palaces, but could not manifest them. He could be considered an existence between the late-stage Tao querying realm and the perfected Tao querying realm. He was very powerful. Senior, I know I was wrong. When I received the news that day, I really wanted to ask you to rescue Noah, but I don't know why. But I was blinded by greed and made the mistake today. Please, for Noah's sake, Senior, please spare my life. After Boulder Blue finished speaking, he kept begging for mercy. There was a look of remorse on his face, as if he had really realized his mistake. Ning Qi glanced at him expressionlessly. He waved his hand and directly grabbed Boulder Blue. Which direction is Heaven Boundary Mountain? Since Boulder Blue had planned to deceive them from the beginning, it was possible that even the direction of Heaven Mountain was wrong. Sure enough, when Dwayne Boulder Bloom saw that Ning Qi did not kill him, he breathed a sigh of relief, and then pointed in another direction with a little fear. Ning Qi grabbed Boulder Blue and flew towards the Heaven Realm Mountain without saying a word. He had failed the heavenly tribulation and appeared at the foot of the Heaven Realm mountain in the wretched region with heavy injuries. He had been picked up by Giant Rock Noah and brought back to Monolith City. If not for Giant Rock Noah, Ning-Chi might have died in the mouths of those star beasts. The strongest star demon was already comparable to a fourth-step cultivator. It had some shallow intelligence and was very difficult to deal with. I hope that kid can hold on for a little longer. Ning-Chi sighed in his heart. The news from Heaven Realm Mountain to Monolith City had wasted a lot of time. If Noah was not lucky, he might have been eaten by the corrosive giant crocodile. Heaven Realm Mountain. Boulder Race Cultivator, you can't look so afraid. You need to remain calm. That's the only way to attract the corrosive giant crocodile. These star demons might not have intelligence, but they're extremely cautious. Their sixth sense is extremely powerful. Otherwise, I will sell you to the slave market as compensation for offending me before. In a place that resembled a swamp, a few humans were standing in the shadows in the distance. One of them moved his lips slightly and transmitted his voice to Noah, who was trembling non-stop not far away. This place was filled with poisonous fog. If cultivators below the Tao Querying Realm were to come here, they would not even last 15 minutes before turning to flee. Even ordinary Tao Querying Realm cultivators would not be able to last long without special means. Apart from that, the air here was extremely damp and cold. Poisonous water droplets had already condensed on Noah's bluestone skin. These water droplets kept corroding Noah's skin, but because Boulder Race cultivators were immune to most poisons, they were ineffective. If you want to catch the corrosive giant crocodile, you can use other things as bait. I heard that the corrosive giant crocodile likes to eat corpses that have rotted for about 30 days. Noah's voice trembled as he transmitted his voice. At the same time, he was looking around, afraid that the corrosive giant crocodile would suddenly jump out of the poisonous fog swamp. With his strength, he could not even take a single blow from the corrosive giant crocodile. He could not block it. Shut up! The stern rebuke caused Noah's entire body to tremble, and he immediately shut his mouth. He had a premonition that the fact that they hadn't been able to lure the corrosive giant crocodile for so many days had caused the humans' patience to drop to the extreme. If he angered them, they would probably kill him before the corrosive giant crocodile did anything. A few hundred zhang away from the swamp, many cultivators were watching. I wanted to go through this poisonous fog swamp to find a few catalyst herbs, but I was blocked by the people from the Hunyuan sect. I have to wait for them to complete their mission before I can go through. How tyrannical! How can the Hunyuan sect not be tyrannical? Their sect leader's strength is the same as the Monolith City Lords. They are both at the early stage Karma Realm, a fourth-step cultivator. He can turn you and I into a ball of karma with just a move of his finger. What a pity! Although Noah is dumb, he is not a bad person. Now he is being used as bait, Sai. His parents died in the Heaven Realm Mountain, and he has no other relatives. He is alone, so no one will avenge him even if he dies. Look at those few people. They came with Noah to do the mission last time, but I didn't see them plead for Noah's life. Gigantic Rock Kelly could feel the gazes of many foreign race cultivators on them, but he was expressionless. Instead, he looked at Gigantic Rock Noah with a hint of schadenfreude. On the other hand, the expressions of the lackeys behind him were a bit unsightly. They weren't worried for Noah, but they felt that this would damage the reputation of the Boulder tribe. However, the Primal Chaos sect had a late-stage Tao-seeking cultivator, and they weren't a match for him. Gigantic Rock Kelly did not intend to help either, so he could only curse in his heart. Taking advantage of a human cultivator at the great perfection Tao-seeking realm and tarnishing my reputation. Let's see if he can save you in time today. Gigantic Rock Kelly thought to himself viciously, and his lips curled into a sinister smile. Suddenly, more fog began to gush out from the poison mist swamp. Seeing this scene, everyone's spirits rose. This was the phenomenon of the corrosive giant crocodile coming out to look for food. Some people dared to use the poisonous fog swamp as a shortcut and take a shortcut from time to time because this phenomenon would serve as a warning whenever the overlord of the poisonous fog swamp, the corrosive giant crocodile, appeared. At this time, even cultivators at the great perfection Tao-seeking realm would not be willing to pass by. It's over. Gigantic rock Noah's body trembled. He could already see huge eyeballs emerging from the poisonous fog swamp, staring at him coldly. Each eyeball was bigger than him, so one could imagine how terrifying the corrosive giant crocodile's physical body was. It's taken the bait. The few Hunyuan sect disciples hiding nearby were overjoyed. They exchanged glances and then waited for the moment the corrosive giant crocodile appeared. Only then would it reveal the only soft part of its body, its belly. Bloop, bloop, huge bubbles kept emerging from the poisonous fog swamp, and the speed was getting faster and faster. In the end, it was like boiling water. Chapter 33:29. Roar. Giant rock Noah's prayer was completely useless. A huge wave suddenly rose in the poison mist swamp in front of him. Terrifying poisonous water and fog sprayed in all directions. A huge head emerged from the poison mist swamp and let out a loud roar. Noah's legs kept trembling. The corrosive giant crocodile had only revealed its head, but the terrifying aura made him feel as though he had lost all his strength. He could not even move his legs. The corrosive giant crocodile's head was filled with black lump. It seemed to be filled with thick, foul water that could erupt at any time. This was also the reason why the Hunyuan sect disciples wanted to use Noah as bait. If they could not attack the corrosive giant crocodile's vitals, they would be injured by the poisonous water on its skin that could poison late-stage Tao-querying cultivators and cripple perfected Tao-querying cultivators. Their bodies. Soon, just a little more, and we will attack together to attack its vitals. If we can't kill it in one strike, we will escape immediately. Don't linger. A Hunyuan sect disciple with late-stage Tao-querying cultivation sent a voice transmission. He was the leader of this mission team, and also one of the middle and upper echelons of the Hunyuan sect. Yes. The remaining primordial chaos sect disciples exchanged glances. Their expressions were solemn and excited. This was their first time killing a star demon that was comparable to a late-stage Tao-querying realm cultivator. They had spent a lot of effort to ascertain the cultivation level of the corrosive giant crocodile. Otherwise, they would definitely be wiped out if they encountered a corrosive giant crocodile comparable to a perfected Tao-querying cultivator. Now it was time to reap the rewards. After killing this corrosive giant crocodile, each of them would get at least 100 origin essence stones. Roar! The corrosive giant crocodile stared at giant rock Noah and let out another loud roar. The poisonous fog that came out of its mouth was extremely stinky. Noah rolled his eyes and almost fainted on the spot. If it were any other alien race, they would have been killed by the poisonous fog. It was over. Only the Boulder tribe could be so close to the corrosive giant crocodile and not show any signs of being poisoned. Father, mother, your child is unfilial. Giant rock Noah roared in despair. Your child is here to see you. Boom. A terrifying aura suddenly descended from the sky and entered the corrosive giant crocodile's neck. It then swept across the poison mist swamp, stirring up a layer of poisonous water that could corrode an ordinary early-stage Tao-querying realm cultivator. This poisonous water landed on the giant rock Noah. It dripped from his bluestone skin. Ugh! Noah stared dumbfounded at the scene before him. He rubbed his eyes in disbelief. The corrosive giant crocodile's head had been chopped off by someone. It was currently floating above the poison mist swamp, and its huge body had also been cut off. His vitality floated up like a small mountain. What happened? Dwayne Clee, as well as the cultivators of the various races who were watching from nearby, were all dumbfounded at this scene, unable to react for a moment. The few Hunyuan sect disciples were also stunned. The corrosive giant crocodile, which was comparable to a late-stage Tao-querying realm cultivator, had died just like that? As the poisonous water fell, the fog gradually dispersed. Only then did everyone realize that there were two figures standing above the poisonous fog swamp. Oh, or perhaps it should be said that there was only one figure, because one of the figures was held in the hands of the former. Senior, I am Li Tian'er, a core disciple of the Hunyuan sect. This corrosive giant crocodile is a mission that our Hunyuan faction accepted. Thank you for your help, Senior. The late-stage Tao-querying realm cultivator from the Hunyuan sect hesitated for a moment and suddenly stepped forward. He cupped his fists and thanked Ning Qi, as though Ning Qi had killed the corrosive giant crocodile for them. He had such confidence because the Hunyuan sect was rather famous around the Heaven World Mountain. There was an early-stage Karma realm cultivator in the sect. It's him. After Dwayne Clee saw Ning Qi's face clearly, his face turned pale. He knew that cultivators at the Tao-querying realm were extremely powerful. However, after seeing Ning Qi kill a corrosive giant crocodile that was comparable to a late-stage Tao-querying realm cultivator with ease, he finally understood how powerful the experts from the Immortal Palace were. After seeing Ning Qi's appearance clearly, Ning Qi's face turned pale. Ning Qi glanced at Li Tian'er indifferently and ignored him. Instead, he looked at Noah. Noah, I heard that someone used you as bait to lure the corrosive giant crocodile. Who is it? Point it out. What? Giant Rock Noah actually knows this human expert. It seems like there will be a good show today. I wonder if this human expert will stand up for Noah. This cultivator from the Boulder clan knows this person? The disciples of the Hunyuan sect looked at each other and felt uneasy. However, they soon calmed down. No matter how powerful the other party was, he wouldn't dare to declare war on the Hunyuan sect. Big Brother Ning, you came at the right time. Noah finally recovered from the shock and yelled excitedly. No one would be able to stay calm after a trip to the gates of hell. After the excitement, Noah looked at the disciples of the Hunyuan sect angrily. Big Brother Ning, it's them. I just stepped on a spirit fruit that they wanted to pluck by accident, and they wanted to use me as bait to kill the corrosive giant crocodile. At that moment, I thought I was going to see my parents. Head Dwayne Clee, who was held in Ning Qi's hand, smiled embarrassedly. Noah, you're a good person. You won't die so easily. I went to inform this senior as soon as I heard about you. Thank you, Uncle Blue. Noah was extremely touched. Ning Qi glanced at Blue. He was really suspicious. Noah had once said that he was a good friend of his father. How could an uncle behave like this? How could he use the news that his nephew was in danger to set up a trap to steal the Origin Essence Stone? Ning Qi smiled and looked at the disciples of the Hunyuan sect. He said indifferently, Do you have anything else to explain? Explain? Senior, we are disciples of the Hunyuan sect. Our sect leader is perfected primordial chaos, Wu Zhangxian. He's at the fourth step. Before they could finish threatening Ning Qi, a terrifying power from the Immortal Palace landed on their heads. The core disciple of the Hunyuan sect, including the late-stage Tao-querying realm, was killed by the power of the Immortal Palace before he could even scream. Killed? He killed them? Dwayne Clee looked at the scene in shock. Then, the fear in his eyes intensified. The Hunyuan sect was not weaker than the Monolith City, but the other party killed them without even looking. Didn't that mean that he was probably the same as these few people in the other party's eyes? He killed them as he pleased? It's over. Dwayne Clee looked at Ning Qi in horror and sent a voice transmission. As senior, you can just send them away. But you actually killed them. The Hunyuan sect will definitely take revenge. Let's go back to the Monolith City. Chapter 33:30. A Fourth Step Existence. Everyone reacted immediately. Their faces were filled with fear as they looked towards the sky. At this moment, no one dared to act recklessly. This aura, Ning Qi's hair stood on end, and his heart trembled slightly. It was as though every cell in his body was being threatened by this aura and was constantly sending out danger signals. In the sky, an extremely huge body was moving slowly. The head and tail of this body could not be seen clearly, and it was like a piece of meat that was moving. Wherever it passed, it would leave a pitch-black mark in the void. Ning Qi saw it with his own eyes. The huge bird seemed to be shocked and hurried past the mark in a panic. Immediately after, it was devoured and disappeared without a trace. The process of suppression lasted for the time it took to brew a cup of tea. After the monster had gone far away, the suppression on everyone's bodies gradually dissipated. Unknowingly, Ning Qi's back was covered in sweat. Just now, he could not help but look at the attributes of this strange life form. It was the Void Worm, the strongest in the Heaven Realm mountain region. There were 3 other existences like this. In the attributes panel, Ning Qi saw a secret that many people did not know. Wherever the Void Worm wriggled, it would become a path to reincarnation in the next few hours. If one accidentally touched it, they would be sucked into the reincarnation cycle. That was what happened to the huge bird just now. That was too scary. Brother Ning, that was the Void Worm just now, a rebirth realm expert. The huge rock Noah looked relieved. Luckily, we did not appear in front of it. Otherwise, we would have been devoured. Even our souls would have been destroyed. It doesn't seem to attack us. Ning Qi's eyes flickered. To a Void Worm, we're nothing more than ants. Would you purposely step on an ant when you're walking? A few figures walked towards Ning Qi. The one who spoke was a female cultivator. Her aura seemed to have surpassed the late-stage Tao-seeking realm. She was at the perfected Tao-seeking realm. The people behind her were all late-stage Tao-seeking realm cultivators. Just like Ning Qi, they were all humans. I'm Dong Yen from Chaoyin Pavilion. How should I address you, sir? The female cultivator stood in front of Ning Qi and introduced herself. Then, she smiled at Ning Qi and waited for his reply. Chaoyin Pavilion? The Chaoyin Pavilion that's almost as strong as the Hunyuan sect, but has been at war with the Hunyuan sect for hundreds of years? Are they here to kill the Hunyuan sect's cultivators? Everyone looked at Dong Yen and the others in bewilderment. Unaffiliated cultivator Ning Beixian. Ning Qi smiled. No sect? Young Master Ning just entered the forsaken land of the gods? Dong Yan's eyes lit up. Sort of. Ning Qi smiled. It's great that you killed those Hunyuan sect's cultivators just now. To be honest with you, we're here today to kill those Hunyuan sect's cultivators. Their leader has committed all kinds of crimes and committed all kinds of heinous crimes. I'm here to kill them. In the outside world, he is famous for his Tao of dual cultivation. Countless female cultivators have died by his hands. Not too long ago, he even plotted against a disciple of my Chaoyin Pavilion. I didn't think that he would die by young Lord Ning's hands today. Looks like he got what he deserved. Dongyan smiled. So, I killed an evil person. Not bad. Ning Qi smiled and nodded. After a pause, he cupped his hands towards the other party. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Wait. Dong Yen smiled. Since young Lord Ning is an unaffiliated cultivator, would you be interested in joining my Chaoyin Pavilion? With your cultivation, you're more than qualified to be an elder. You'll get 200 primary stones every month. 200 primary stones a month. Based on a cultivator's lifespan, it would only take about 500 years to get 1,000,000 primary stones. That was equivalent to the entire wealth of a Tao-seeking realm cultivator at the peak stage. However, That was only if he didn't eat or drink. The Chow In Pavilion should be very rich. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to offer such a price. Ning Chi calculated in his mind and shook his head. I'll be staying in Monolith City for now. Thank you for your kindness. Humph, you don't know what's good for you. The few late-stage Dao Querying Realm cultivators behind Dong Yen looked at Ning Chi coldly and snorted in their hearts. There was a hint of jealousy in the depths of their eyes. Although the late-stage Dao Querying Realm and the Perfected Realm were only one minor realm apart, their strength was worlds apart. The number of Origin Essence Stones he could obtain in a month was only around 20. It's fine. If young lord is interested, you can come to Chow In Pavilion directly and tell them my name. Dong Yen smiled. All right. Ning Chi smiled and nodded. Then, he took Noah and Blue and soared into the sky. They avoided the horrifying trace left by the void worm that could lead them to the reincarnation of myriad worlds and headed towards Monolith City. Elder Dong Yen, this person killed Chen Zhong of the Hunyuan sect and attracted the attention of the Hunyuan sect. It's killing two birds with one stone for us. If we let him work at the Chow In Pavilion, it won't be good. After making sure that Ning Chi and the others had left, a seemingly middle-aged Dao-seeking realm late-stage cultivator behind Dong Yen suddenly spoke. Didn't you notice that his immortal palace's power is too strong? Dong Yen said indifferently without turning her head. Immortal palace's power? That's right. With your cultivation, you probably can't sense it. After all, you don't even know what the immortal palace's power is. Dong Yen continued. The middle-aged cultivator's expression turned ugly. Let's go. Since the mission is complete, we can return to the Chow In Pavilion. Dong Yen smiled and looked in the direction Ning Chi left. Then, she flew into the sky and led the Chow In Pavilion cultivators in the opposite direction of Monolith City. Phew, after all the experts left, the group heaved a sigh of relief. I've watched a good show today. I even encountered the Void Worm. I wonder when I can be like that guy just now and kill a late-stage Dao-seeking realm cultivator without any qualms. You want to be like that guy just now? I'm envious of Dwayne Noah. As long as he has a Dao-seeking realm cultivator at the Great Perfection Realm as his backer, he'll be able to live comfortably in Heaven Realm Mountain. Humph! Chris snorted coldly in his heart. He turned around and left with his lackeys. He swore in his heart that he would definitely break the door of the locked palace and see the immortal palace. Only then would he be able to match his father's status and become a person above all. Otherwise, even if he had a Karma Realm early-stage cultivator at the Great Perfection Realm as his backer, most Dao-seeking realm cultivators at the Great Perfection Realm would not even look him in the eye. Monolith City. As soon as Dwayne Noah landed, he said to Dwayne Bruce happily, "Uncle Bruce, let me treat you and Brother Ning to a meal. You love Heaven River python meat and Heaven Realm mountain wine. Let's eat to our heart's content today." This Chapter 33-31. Uncle Blue, is what Big Brother Ning said true? Did you really use my information to ambush Big Brother Ning? Dwayne Noah's voice became a little hoarse. For some reason, this person who was smiling sheepishly in front of him became extremely unfamiliar to him. From the moment Ning Chi spoke, he already knew that Ning Chi's words could not be false. However, he was still not willing to believe that Uncle Blue, whom he had always respected, would disregard his life and even want to ambush Ning Chi. Blue looked at Ning Chi embarrassedly and did not dare to deny it. Seeing this, Dwayne Noah's eyes were filled with disappointment. At the same time, he felt a little sad. When he thought about how his father's good friend was such a despicable person, he felt that it was not worth it for his father. "Noah, I was blinded by greed and did something wrong. Please help me plead for him." Boulder Blue gritted his teeth and admitted to what he had done. At the same time, there was a hint of hope in his eyes. With his many years of experience, how could he not know that Ning Chi had kept him until now entirely to seek Noah's opinion on the matter? Big Brother Ning, Dwayne Noah looked at Ning Chi hesitantly. Then, he suddenly clenched his teeth and said, "Uncle Blue is my father's friend. If it's possible, yes, just like that." Boulder Blue was extremely excited. "If it's possible, let me end Uncle Blue's life with my own hands. That way, I can give my father an explanation," Noah the giant rock requested. "What?" Blue looked at Noah with his mouth agape. He did not seem to believe what he had just said. End Uncle Blue's life with his own hands? Ning Chi's lips curled up slightly. He looked at Noah with satisfaction. Then, with a light flick of his finger, Blue was pressed down by the power of the immortal palace. He knelt down and was unable to move. This was Monolith City, so this scene was seen by many cultivators of the Monolith tribe. They looked at each other in confusion and gradually surrounded this place. "Isn't that Blue? What's going on? He seems to have offended this human cultivator. How dare he bully the Monolith tribe in our Monolith City? Is no one going to teach him a lesson? Go ahead. Blue is at the middle stage of the Tao querying realm after all. Even he is kneeling obediently. This human is at least at the late stage of the Tao querying realm. Is that Bru's nephew? What's it called?" "Noah, Daliashi Noah, the son of Daliashi Chishing. Star Awakening Dashi?" Many people gasped when they heard this name, and they looked at Noah with a peculiar look in their eyes. Noah's father is not a nobody in Monolith City. But why would he be friends with such a despicable person? Ning Chi shook his head. "Noah, don't kill your Uncle Blue. Have you forgotten how I treated you when you were young?" Boulder Blue begged bitterly. The hesitation in Noah's eyes grew fewer and fewer. Finally, with a bang, he struck Boulder Blue's head. His head, which seemed to be forged from limestone, directly shattered into pieces. A walnut-sized brain rolled out, leaving behind traces of blood. Not much. It seemed that this was all the Boulder race cultivators had in their minds. What's going on? When everyone saw that Noah had personally dealt with Bru, their expressions became uncertain. Some of the people who knew Noah very well also looked at him with strange gazes. "Big Brother Ning, let's go." Daliashi Noah looked at Ning Chi and said. At this moment, he seemed to have undergone some sort of baptism. Not only did his expression become much more resolute, but there was also a special color in his eyes. More than 10 days later, there was finally news from Heaven World Mountain. Only then did the cultivators of Monolith City know that Ning Chi was a cultivator at the perfected Tao querying realm, and that he had killed a few Hunyuan sect disciples in Heaven World Mountain. Now, they did not dare to look at Noah anymore. They were very afraid of Ning Chi, who was standing behind Noah. For ordinary Tao querying realm cultivators, they were afraid of two kinds of people. One was a cultivator at the 4th step, and the other was someone who could break the locked palace gate and see the existence of the immortal palace. No ordinary Tao querying realm cultivators could deal with either of them. While they were afraid, they were also waiting in secret. Several disciples of the Hunyuan gang had died, and one of them was a core disciple. In the future, if they had the opportunity to break the gate of the locked palace, they would definitely not let it go. They were looking forward to the Hunyuan gang and Ning Chi. They were looking forward to the battle between Hunyuan sect and Ning Chi. It was a pity that in the next few months, Hunyuan sect did not do anything. Instead, Daliashi Klee's father, the deputy city lord of Monolith City, who was also at the perfected Tao querying realm, sent an invitation to invite Ning Chi to a banquet at the city lord residence. Ning Chi rejected it, and there was no other movement from the city lord residence. "System, you said that there was a mission for you to level up when I reached Shunluo World. I have been in Shunluo World for almost 2 years now. Where is your mission?" One day, Ning Qi went to the black market to ask about the progress of the purifying spirit flower. He had just left the Black Rock Trade Union when he could not help but ask, "Host has not reached Shenluo World yet." The system notification sounded. "Has not reached Shenluo World yet?" Although this is a lowly region, as a system, how can you discriminate against a region? This is obviously Shenluo World. This is the common people's world. It belonged to Shenluo World in the past, but the cultivators there rebelled and were suppressed by Shenluo World's holy assembly. From then on, it became a prison, the system said calmly. Although the system said it so casually, when Ning Qi heard it, he felt like blood was surging into his nose. The lowly region was a world in the past? After the rebellion, the Holy Assembly treated it as a land of exile? An entire world had become a prison. One could imagine how intense the battle was. At least, it was no weaker than the first Celestial Demon War in the Celestial World. I didn't expect that I would fail the tribulation and actually come to a place that belonged to Shenluo World. However, seeing how the people here understand Shenluo World so well, it should be really close to Shenluo World. That lost city should be the space tunnel between the two. For example, the Jiang family well. System, is there a way to leave common people's world and head to Shenluo World? Ning Qi continued to ask. The system acted dead out of habit. No matter what Ning Qi asked, it didn't say a word. A few months passed. This time, Ning Qi didn't take the initiative to head to the Black Rock Trade Union. Instead, Master Onlai sent the giant stone which poisoned to inform Ning Qi that the purifying spirit flower had arrived. Big Brother Ning, I told you that the Black Rock Trade Union never disappoints its customers. Chapter 33-32. Wait for me at the door. When they reached the Black Rock Trade Union, Ning Qi told Noah. Then, he followed the boulder voodoo to Master Onlai's floor. As usual, there were many people queuing up for Master Onlai's appraisal. Seeing the boulder voodoo bring Ning Qi directly to Master Onlai's room, as if preparing to cut the queue, someone was unhappy. A huge figure stood up, blocking Ning Qi and the boulder voodoo. "Queue up," the other party said calmly. Ning Qi looked calm on the surface, but he was very anxious inside. He reached out and grabbed the other party. With a light swing, the guy smashed through the wall and tumbled away. The others, who had wanted to watch the show, fell silent. The being that Ning Qi had thrown out was at the late-stage Dao querying realm. Ning Qi's cultivation level was at least at the perfected Dao querying realm. This was not a difference of a minor realm, but the difference between Tier 2 and Tier 3 power. No ordinary Dao querying cultivator would be willing to offend someone who owned an immortal palace. The guards of the Black Rock Trade Union were attracted by the commotion, but Master Onlai's voice soon rang out. The guards just glanced at Ning Qi and retreated. "Big Brother Ning, go in." The boulder voodoo did not follow him into the room. Instead, he stood guard at the door. Because he had brought Ning Qi here, if the trade was successful, he would get a cut. The boulder voodoo had already asked around. His cut this time might very well be 100 origin essence stones. This was a huge sum for an early-stage Dao querying realm cultivator. "You seem to be very anxious." Grandmaster Onlai looked at Ning Qi with a smile that was not a smile. Unlike before, there was another person standing in his room. This person wore a white mask, and under the eyes of the mask, there was a string of red tears, as if they were tears. This white devil was crying. From start to finish, he had been sizing Ning Qi up with a cold gaze. "After searching for countless years, I am naturally anxious. I have gathered all the origin essence stones, barely 1,000,000. May I know where Master Onlai's clean spirit flower is?" Ning Qi smiled. "Let me see your origin essence stones first. After confirming that you are not lying, I will give you the clean spirit flower." The one who spoke was not Master Onlai, but the devil with the tear-eye mask. Are you from the outside world? Ning Qi's eyes moved as he looked at the other party. He glanced at the other party's attributes and discovered that his attributes panel was filled with question marks. This caused Ning Qi to be slightly startled. It had been a long time since something like this had happened, unless the other party's cultivation was too much higher than his. There were too many, but it was impossible. The other party's aura proved that he was only at the great completion of the Tao querying realm. In that case, the reason why Wu Yu was unable to see his element should have something to do with the mask he was wearing. It could even block the system's ability to check its attribute. Ning Qi suddenly felt curious. What kind of magic treasure was this? A completely special support type? Or a connate spiritual treasure of an extremely high grade? Where I came from is none of your business. The devil tear-eye mask said calmly. Grandmaster Onlai smiled at Ning Qi and said, You only need to take out 1,000,000 origin essence stones to prove that you have the purchasing power, and this transaction can be completed. You haven't even seen the goods and you want my origin essence stones? Master Onlai, the deal we agreed on at the start wasn't like this, was it? Why were you so anxious to confirm whether I had origin essence stones or not? Is it because you don't have the purifying spirit flower? Ning Qi's voice gradually turned cold. Ha ha ha, don't you believe in the credibility of the Black Rock Trade Union? Grandmaster Onlai laughed loudly. Maybe I don't believe him. Ning Qi looked calmly at the devil tear-eye mask. If you didn't bring the purifying spirit flower today, you can stay here. How dare you? Grandmaster Onlai suddenly shouted, as if he had not expected Ning Qi to threaten this mysterious person. His eyes immediately showed a hint of anxiety. Sir, the people of the forsaken land of the gods are all so rude. Please don't take offense. Grandmaster Onlai hurriedly comforted the devil tear-eye mask. He's not someone you can offend. Quickly take out the origin essence stones and let him inspect the goods. You can also get the purifying spirit flower. Don't cause unnecessary trouble. Grandmaster Onlai transmitted his voice to Ning Qi at the same time. Ning Qi glanced at him coldly, then at the devil tear-eye mask. Suddenly, he threw out a yin and yang ring. The origin essence stones are all inside. Take the money and give me the purifying spirit flower. Ning Qi said calmly. The purifying spirit flower was very important to Ning Qi. Even though he could see that there was something wrong with the other party, he still wanted to gamble on his last hope. Yes, it is indeed 1,000,000 origin essence stones. The devil tear-eye mask grabbed the yin and yang ring and scanned it with his divine telekinesis. Then, he nodded at Ning Qi. Purifying spirit flower. Ning Qi said calmly. There was an accident on the way here. I will bring the purifying spirit flower the next time we trade. It will not be more than 500 years old. The devil tear-eye mask said calmly. Then, he looked at Grandmaster Onlai. Your Black Rock Trade Union's share will also be given to you at that time. What? Grandmaster Onlai stared at him, dumbfounded. He never thought that Ning Qi would be right. He did not bring the purifying spirit flower. As if he felt that Ning Qi and Grandmaster Onlai would not dare to offend him, the devil tear-eye mask calmly walked out of the door. You shouldn't have, a voice sounded behind him. You played me for a fool in this matter. Ning Qi looked at the devil tear-eye mask. His voice became emotionless. The devil tear-eye mask paused and turned to look at Ning Qi. I said that I will give it to you in 500 years. What do you mean by playing with me? Do you think it was easy for me to come to the wretched region? Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand. Let's just leave it at that. His tone was arrogant, as if taking 1,000,000 origin essence stones from Ning Qi was a sign of respect for him. Have you experienced despair before? The devil tear-eye mask had just turned when he heard Ning Qi's words. He suddenly looked at Ningqi. A terrifying aura rose from his body. Behind him, one could vaguely see the silhouette of an immortal palace. Fifth grade immortal palace. Grandmaster Anlai's eyes flashed with shock. There were only 7 or 8 perfected Tao querying cultivators in Monolith City, and their immortal palaces were all lower grade. To form a 5th grade immortal palace, one would need to expend a terrifying amount of resources, luck, background, and legacies to make it possible. Even if they were all at the perfected Tao querying realm, their strength would be determined by the grade of their immortal palace. Ignorant ant. The devil tear-eye mask looked coldly at Ningqi and spat out these words in disdain. The next moment, hell-subduing immortal palace. Boom. The hell-subduing immortal palace, which was tens of thousands of times stronger than the other party's immortal palace, appeared behind Ningqi. Chapter 33-33. In Master Onlai's eyes, the demon tear-eye mask's 5th grade immortal palace was already an extremely powerful existence. Even the Monolith City Lord's immortal palace was not much higher than his, but now it was in Ningqi's hell-suppressing immortal palace. In front of him, it was like a 3-year-old child facing a grown man. Not only was Ningqi's palace one of the top 3 grades, it had also been tempered by the North Profound Celestial Emperor for countless years. Even someone at the 4th step of the Karma state might not have such a terrifying palace, let alone a 5th grade palace. Who are you? I don't remember someone like you being locked up in the wretched region. The demon tear-eye mask screamed. He was no longer as calm as before. Ningqi could almost see the fear that flashed in his eyes under the mask. Ningqi had secretly set up an array in the entire room. The demon mask's scream could not be heard at all. Boulder Voodoo was still waiting at the door, hoping that the transaction would be completed as soon as possible and he would get his commission. I don't remember someone like this being locked up in the wretched region. Could it be that I guessed wrong? This person did not just arrive in the wretched region? Master Onlai stared at Ningqi dumbfounded. As an appraisal expert of the Black Lava Merchant Guild, he had naturally sent people to investigate Ningqi's background since he was about to make a 1,000,000 origin essence stones transaction with him. From the information his subordinates had sent back, Ningqi might be a pitiful person who had just been thrown into the wretched region. Therefore, Master Onlai had always been at ease. Such a person in the forsaken land of the gods had no background or backing. What did Shang-Yi do? I am very angry. Ningqi looked at the demon mask indifferently and suddenly yelled, "Kneel!" Boom. A terrifying pressure came crashing down on him like a mountain. The demon mask knelt on the ground helplessly, his knees even sinking into the ground. Damn it! Seeing that he was being suppressed by a lowly person from the wretched region and was even kneeling in front of him, the demon mask screamed in his heart. He struggled to get up, but the power of Ningqi's hell-suppressing palace was too terrifying, completely exceeding his expectations. A level. Under the suppression of this terrifying force, not only was he unable to get up, he didn't even have the ability to move. The immortal palace behind him was also on the verge of collapse, as if it was about to be crushed into pieces. Brother Ning, please wait." Seeing this scene, Master Onlai's throat moved up and down as he hurriedly said. Although this demon tear-eye mask was powerful, it was not what Grandmaster Onlai was afraid of. What he was afraid of was the power behind him. If this person was killed by Ningqi here today, it would not be long before Lost City would send a team. How do you come and go freely? Ningqi said coldly. This, I will definitely not tell you. If I tell you, I will instantly die from the backlash of the blood oath. The demon tear mask was very strong in this aspect. Other than that, although you are much stronger than me, how are you compared to a 4th step expert? Even those rebirth state experts, The moment they step into Lost City, they will definitely die. Then you are of no use to me. Ning Qi smiled. Enjoy your last few breaths of despair. Ning Qi faintly smiled. Enjoy your final few breaths of despair. Ning Qi smiled. Enjoy your last few breaths of despair. A terrifying suction force came from the hell-suppressing palace, directly sucking the demon tear mask in. Before he turned into a pool of blood, a piece of the mask fell and landed in Ning Qi's hands. The hell-suppressing palace gradually dissipated. The room returned to silence. Ning Qi held the mask in his hands and used the system to check its attribute. Master Onlai, on the other hand, was still in shock from the demon tear mask's death. Blood Puppet Mask. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.